Whether it's something as simple as a button on your jeans or something that's part of a larger moving mechanism, here are 26 secrets to everyday things you probably didn't know about. You use doorknobs every day, so it's right to be concerned about how many germs could be on them. However, they have made doorknobs out of brass partly for that reason. Brass provides an antimicrobial effect, eliminating the microorganisms that were hoping to start a colony on your doorknob. Your pants have that 1/5 pocket that's recognized as the small useless one. Originally, it was there to provide a safe place for your pocket watch, something that was necessary when first implemented in 1901. It then continued to remain for traditional purposes. However, it's still a great place to put your Tic Tacs. You've probably mistaken those little rivets on your jeans as some form of fashion statement, similar to the small pocket. In fact, they're incredibly important. They are there to provide extra support for areas that withstand the most strenuous parts of your clothing, preventing them from embarrassingly falling apart. That little button at the end of your seatbelt seems like it's way out of place. In fact, it's there to ensure your buckle will always remain at the end, so you won't have to awkwardly fiddle with your seatbelt every time you put it on. You're in a new car or a rental, and the gauge tells you the gas is getting low. You don't know which side the fuel cap is on from the inside. It can cause unnecessary effort at the gas station. However, your fuel gauge has an arrow that reminds you which side to fill your gas tank up from. Some models of cars may also have a gas tank hose instead, with the hose pictured on the side that the cap is on. Hiking and walking through snow requires the best kind of footwear. The shoes which are perfect for this also have an extra eyelet for your lace to loop through. Looping your laces through the extra eyelets will give more support for your ankles and feet and will provide more stability as you walk. But as you walk, blisters are also a concern. The sweat in your shoe creates friction between the feet and the shoe, which then helps create the blisters. Antiperspirant that you use for your armpits will help keep the feet from sweating. Just make sure you use the clear one. Cooking for people is always nice. However, sometimes the guests are late. Yep, we're all guilty of that sometimes, right? The extra drawer under your oven, where you've been keeping all of your spare pots and pans, was actually made to keep your food warm. Great for those who are late to the meal. Ever wondered how long that padlock could possibly last when it's outside, in the rainy weather, keeping your bike safe? It has a little hole at the bottom of it. It's there to drain water to avoid corrosion on the inside. It also serves to provide oil, further prolonging its use. That hole in the elevator door isn't there to check who's inside so you can avoid sharing a ride with specific people. It's a keyhole in case it breaks down. Ketchup, sauce bottles, and all other condiments we love all have a stage when it's difficult to get the insides out. You try hitting it, shaking it, and poking things inside to encourage the tasty condiments to come out. Luckily, there is an easier way to do it. The label at the top suggests where to tap the bottle. The sauce will come out easier and smoother, allowing gravity to take the place of frustration. The purpose of wooden coat hangers is to help repel pesky insects and avoid fungal growth that eats away at your clothing. As it's made of cedar wood, it contains oils that have insecticidal and fungicidal properties and were used as far back as the ancient Egyptians, although they used it for other purposes. We've all been trained and tested at the art of typing and know the correct way to use a keyboard. But you may not have noticed that the F and J keys have a small ridge at the bottom. They're there to help you find your correct starting place with your fingers on the keyboard, without having to look down. If you've been lucky enough to get the window seat on the plane, you would have noticed that little hole at the bottom of the window. It helps with the air pressure on the plane. The window itself is made from acrylic and isn't actually glass, which saves it from fogging up so you can see the scenery on your journey. The windows on planes were originally square. However, they would continuously break from the constant changes in pressure. Round windows are able to evenly distribute the pressure, ensuring you'll have a pleasant journey without falling out. For all you Nintendo Switch players, those who have tried to taste your cartridges will notice they have a bitter taste. The manufacturers added it intentionally, as the Switch's cartridge size is very small and it might be a hazard for the youngest players that have a tendency to put things in their mouth that they shouldn't. So the bitter taste made from denatonium benzoate ensures that they won't be tasted for too long. Cosmetics containers that are filled with products used for your skin have a secret number on them. This is to help inform you how long the product will be usable, ensuring it doesn't cause the reverse effect by damaging your skin instead. Pen lids have a hole at the end of them. It's not there to help your pen breathe and boost performance, but it's there to help you breathe, just in case while you're sitting in class or at work and you're chewing on your lid and just happen to swallow it. You can be rest assured if it's stuck, the pen makers were thinking of you. When you're traveling by car or any other form of ground transportation and you're trying to drink your favorite pop from a straw, you'll find it quite difficult to do at times. Simply turn the tab on the can around so that your straw easily fits inside, making it easier to drink out of. There are always spare buttons when buying new clothes, along with a little bit of fabric. It's far too small to repair that crutch part that always rips first. The fabric is actually there for you to test how to wash it, so you don't accidentally ruin your brand new clothes. Determining how much pasta you need just for yourself can be difficult to figure out. Your big spaghetti spoon with the big hole on the inside, that looks like it's there to drain water, is actually there so you can put the uncooked pasta inside before cooking, so you know exactly how much you need. New shoes always come with those strange little packets. That's silica gel. The gels are there to reduce the moisture in the air to avoid any fungal growth while the shoes were waiting to be purchased. There's a lot of chemistry involved to get you that silica, and it's very effective, capable of absorbing 50% of the humidity. So make sure you don't throw it away. Next time you need to dry out your electrical devices, it's a lot easier than using rice. It's difficult enough to see at night whilst driving, but it's even worse when the driver behind you shines their high beams. Your rearview mirror has a tab at the bottom. When you press it, it changes the angle. One is for day driving, the other, well, for nighttime. It'll help in case that one person driving behind you has forgotten to turn off their high beams. Although your screwdriver is ergonomically made for your hand, sometimes you have that one screw that's too hard to loosen up. The handle is also shaped so you can easily fit inside of a ring spanner or wrench, allowing you to apply more force, ensuring that you can remove that troublesome screw. The skirt part on an escalator seems like a good spot to get your foot stuck, but in reality, those long brushes poking out aren't there to give you an extra shine on your shoes, but for safety precautions, to minimize the risk of trapping objects between the steps and the side of the escalator.
Trains used to make people mad. During the Victorian era, there was this rumor that the swaying motion of train carriages made passengers, especially men, go a bit crazy, leading to some strange and dangerous behavior. The so-called railway madness was supposedly triggered by the noise of the train. To make things worse, carriages were locked for privacy reasons back then, so people found themselves stuck in tiny spaces with lunatics who could snap at any moment.
If you see someone putting ketchup on some car, it doesn't mean you're witnessing them preparing a prank. It means they're just taking care of their car. Yup, it goes great with hamburgers and hot dogs, but it goes even better with cars since it has ingredients that are good at removing rust. Rust occurs when the metal gets exposed to moisture, oxygen, and heat, and due to weather conditions, it's hard to avoid it. When you leave rust for a longer time and don't deal with it, it will continue to degrade the metal. So, you need to get rid of it before your car becomes physically useless. That's when ketchup comes in. Its key ingredient is tomatoes, and they have many nutrients similar to those you can find in oranges and some other citrus fruits. For instance, citric acid can help you remove rust from metal surfaces since it eats through rust. We're not talking about the cars only. You can use it on metallic kitchenwares. furniture parts, jewelry, and rust spots on generally any metallic item. You can combine it with washing soda. It's not quite effective against rust, but when you combine it with ketchup, it'll do the work. Mix these two and apply them to the rusted area. Leave it like that for about half an hour and wash it with a wet cloth or sponge. You can combine ketchup with salt instead, or just apply a lot of it on the rusty area without using any additional ingredients. Ketchup removes tarnish from brass copper too. Put it on brass hardware on doors and cabinets, or some accessories such as bowls and candlesticks for 10 minutes to make it all shine. And also, you don't put it on meat just because of taste. Ketchup breaks down its fibers, which means it makes it more tender.
Locking handles as we know them were only invented relatively recently, in 1878. Before that, people had to get pretty inventive to secure their homes. Most folks used a latch string. They'd make a small hole in the door, thread a leather thong or string through it, and then loop it around a wooden bar. Even after doorknobs were invented, only the wealthy could afford a proper lock and key. Vacuum cleaners had a rough start too. The first one was invented in 1901, but it was so huge that it wouldn't fit inside houses. Instead, vacuuming was offered as a mobile service. The machines were parked outside, and long hoses were fed through the windows. And to get to the client's house, these large cleaning machines were actually pulled by horses. Back in the day, animals even used to pull strollers. Yep, with kids inside. The stroller was first developed in 1733 for the daughters and sons of a British nobleman who might have been a bit too lazy to walk with them every day. So, the first model was basically a shell-shaped basket on wheels that could be pulled by a goat or a small pony. This small chariot was cute, but probably not the safest way to get around. Refrigerators also used to be a bit scary. From the late 1800s until 1929, they used toxic gases like ammonia, methyl chloride, and sulfur dioxide to cool things down. People were so concerned about gas leaks that they began leaving their refrigerators in the backyard instead of keeping them in the kitchen. This danger even inspired Albert Einstein to create a new model. In 1926, Einstein and his former student Leo Szilard invented a refrigerator with no moving parts, using safer, environmentally friendly gases to reduce the risk of toxic leaks. But it had one problem. Einstein's refrigerator was less efficient than existing appliances, so it wasn't commercially appealing. If you ever find yourself casually wandering in the forests of Estonia, don't freak out if you see some giant megaphones. These wooden, acoustic giants were set 3 hours away from the country's capital by interior architecture students. That's way cooler than the hamster roller coaster I once built for a science fair, I have to admit. More than half of Estonia is covered by woods, and they're pretty proud of this natural wealth. So it's not the first art project of this kind, and there was a winding, elevated pathway and a faceted woodland cabin. The idea of the megaphones is to crank up the natural sounds of a forest and also to serve as a rest spot for hikers. These wooden beauties are large enough to host several people. And hey, if you walk this far into the woodland, you'll be thankful for this. The students were given a task to invent some concepts of a forest library. They built the megaphones off-site and brought them to their permanent spots. They're set in such a way that sounds from 3 directions meet in the center and create a cool, natural surround sound effect. Thankfully, kitchen supplies, including our beloved grills, have come a long way. Back in the 1950s, a metalworker named George Stephen had a brilliant idea while trying to create the perfect steak. Frustrated with flare-ups and uneven cooking, he decided to cut an old ocean buoy in half. This allowed him to control the airflow better. And that's how the Weber Kettle Grill was born, changing backyard barbecues forever. Have you ever used a public bathroom in the summer in your shorts and sandals and got splashed? It happens to the best of us, so no worries. If only there was some solution to this problem. Perhaps a urinal with a small hole so no liquid goes where it shouldn't. Looks pretty yucky and painful to me. An assistant professor at the University of Waterloo, Zhao Pen and his colleagues came up with a way better solution for this sensitive issue. Their designs were inspired by physics and dogs. When a stream of liquid moves on a solid surface at a shallow angle, the splash is reduced, and the smaller the angle, the fewer splashes you'll see. You can even minimize them to a zero. And when dogs do their business, they lift their hind legs and do it on the vertical surface of a tree or a wall. I don't know if they actually care about it, but this does reduce the splash. Good job, Pluto. Talking about that, here's a fun challenge for your next family gathering. Ask everyone to fold a piece of paper in half, then in half again, and keep going for a total of 7 folds. Spoiler alert, they probably won't succeed. That's because each fold makes the paper thicker and thicker. In fact, if you had a huge sheet of paper and folded it in half 50 times, it would end up being about 62 million miles thick, which is about 2/3 of the way from Earth to the Sun. So yeah, it's impossible. The current record is held by a high school student named Brittany Gallivan, who managed to fold a single piece of paper in half 12 times, and it was a tissue paper. The USB symbol, looking like a trident, has always sparked multiple speculations about its origin. One popular idea is that it represents Neptune's trident and symbolizes power and adaptability. But there's also a little bit less exciting theory. A man who claimed to have designed the symbol in the 1980s stated that it was supposed to represent connectivity. The large circle symbolizes a computer, while the attached shapes, the circle, the triangle, and square, stand for different outputs. Look closely at a tram's overhead lines, and you'll see that its contact wires zigzag back and forth instead of going in a straight line. That's because all trams have pantographs attached to their roofs. The upper part of the pantograph is gradually worn down by the overhead wire and eventually needs to be replaced. To wear it down evenly, the wire is not installed strictly along the tram's path, but in zigzag patterns. As the tram moves, the pantograph slides along the wire, and it wears down evenly. Those cone-shaped water cooler cups? Their shape is intentionally designed to prevent users from setting the cups down. This allows employees to minimize the risk of spilling water on their desks around various electronic devices. Plus, less material is used to produce cone-shaped cups, which makes the process less wasteful and more cost-effective. It also kinda supports sustainability by encouraging people to drink their water quickly and dispose of their cups immediately after. You're probably wearing a YKK product right now. I mean, go check the zipper on your jeans. Yep, that's it. YKK stands for Yoshida Kogyo Kabushiki Kaisha, a Japanese company that makes roughly half of all the zippers in the world, producing over 7 billion zippers each year. Originally called hookless fasteners, they became known as zippers after a pair of rubber boots that could be fastened with a single zip became popular in 1923. The name stuck because of the high-pitched zip sound they make when used. Despite a popular myth, household batteries don't actually contain liquid, and if you accidentally cut them open, no toxic liquid will spill. Most of them are dry cell batteries, which are made of electrochemical cells. Those convert chemical energy into electrical energy. Larger batteries often house numerous small cells within them too. Even Tesla vehicle batteries consist of multiple small cells. When combined, they easily provide the necessary voltage. Did you know that nail polish used to be a status symbol? In ancient Egypt, queens like Nefertiti and Cleopatra were famous for their red nails, while lower-ranking citizens were only allowed to wear pale shades. You'll probably agree that there's no better snack than a pack of chips. Some are flat, others have ridges. Is it just aesthetics? Not really. The main purpose of those lines on some kinds of chips is to help with the distribution of spices and seasonings. In other words, all those substances that make your chips taste like cheese are mostly stored inside the lines. Plus, the lines make chips crunchier. This item here was also popular in ancient Egypt. What looks like a weird bench was actually a weird type of pillow. Back then, headrests were made from materials like wood, ceramic, and stone. Unlike our comfy pillows today, those ancient ones were used to protect people's hairstyles. That way, their hairdos stayed neat, even though they had a very uncomfortable night. If you've left a pot on the stove and your food burned, once again, take ketchup. Its acids will ease all the scrubbing and help you with grease. Just leave it over the night and you'll be able to wash the pot more easily. Or keep those small packages of ketchup we all end up having from fast food orders in the freezer. The ketchup won't be as hard as an ice cube as it freezes. So it will be good for soothing insect bites or similar things. For 8 centuries, forks were considered cursed and nearly forbidden in the West. The first models were used by the elite in the Middle East and the Byzantine Empire, and they made their way to the West in 1004, thanks to a noblewoman named Maria Agrippina. People were pretty shocked by it, to say the least. So when she passed away just 2 years later, everyone blamed the fork, thinking it was some kind of divine punishment. By the way, its name comes from the Latin word furca, which means pitchfork. Next on our list is Nike's iconic moon shoe, but I'm talking about the unique pattern of its sole. Back in the 1970s, Nike co-founder Bill Bowerman was making waffles for breakfast with his wife when he had a sudden idea: to pour a plastic material called polyurethane into the waffle iron. The machine was ruined, of course, but I guess it was worth it since that's how the first Nike waffle trainer was born. I mean, its sole. That clear fluid in gel pens is called the ink follower or stopper fluid. The gel in such pens contains pigment particles dissolved in a polymer solution. The main task of the stopper fluid is to be a barrier to prevent the gel from evaporating or leaking out. Without this transparent fluid, your gel pen wouldn't function. The fluid always stays in one position and doesn't get dissolved with the gel. Neither does it move backwards or flow out of the pen. Let's move on to another favorite snack: popcorn. These days, cinema and popcorn go hand in hand, but it wasn't always this way. In the 1920s and 1930s, movie theater owners were hesitant to allow snacks in their theaters. They were worried about the mess and the crunching noises interfering with movies. Plus, popcorn used to cost only 5 to 10 cents, so they didn't see any financial benefit. But savvy street vendors saw a big chance. So they got their own popcorn machines and started selling them outside theaters. That's why popcorn probably became the original clandestine movie snack, and theater staff would even have to check if people were hiding bags of it in their coats. Have you ever helped your friends move into a new apartment in a building without an elevator? Then you're gonna love this one. Houses in Amsterdam have hooks on top. This is a medieval invention for pulling stuff up the houses. The simple tech consisting of a wheel and a rope still functions now, centuries later. Why not just use the stairs? Well, if you get inside one of those narrow Amsterdam buildings, you'll see there's hardly enough room to comfortably ascend, and you can forget about even trying to pull a table on top. Back in the medieval ages, pretty much like now, only rich people could afford housing around the canals in the best parts of the city. Those people were mostly traders and used the canals for their business. They stored goods in the same houses they lived in, and with regular floods, they had to find a way to keep the goods dry. And that's why they needed to invent something to lift furniture, goods, boxes, instruments, and food on the upper floors, and pull it in through fully open, wide windows. The lifting tech is one of the reasons the houses in Amsterdam are leaning forward. This position helped keep both the lifted stuff and the walls and windows safe during transportation. They didn't have to touch each other. The gables also assisted in the process and had to be made firm to withstand all the heavy weight. And in case you're wondering what gables are, they're sections of wall between the edges of a dual-pitched roof, typical for Amsterdam. Sticking with old-school fun, it's time to talk about cards. So, have you ever wondered how many times you need to riffle a deck to shuffle it completely? The answer is 7 times, according to math. Even cooler, if you shuffle a deck right, you're probably creating a unique order that's never existed before and never will again. And if you have a deck at hand, check out the 4 kings. You'll notice that the King of Hearts is the only one without a mustache. He's not special or anything. I mean, he also used to have a mustache, but it was lost in the reproduction of the original design. Your home has more regular things that can do magic tricks.
Like if you have a house or a big terrace and want to make a nice flower wall. Try old mattress springs. Just hang them on the wall and let your imagination run wild with flowers. An old flower sifter can still come in handy, for example, as a planter. Even if you don't have one, you might find it at a garage sale or a thrift store. Wallpaper is making its big comeback when it comes to home design. Maybe you can try something different and use some old books with torn pages. You just need to learn the basics of hanging wallpaper, and voila! You get a new cool place for your old books. There's a solution for the remains of an old book. Don't worry. You can have blocks where you'll keep your kitchen knives. It's pretty original, don't you think?
Solitaire was probably everyone's go-to game to pass the time back in the 1990s, but its original purpose was far from it. When developers created this game, their idea was to teach people how to use a computer without them even realizing it. For example, dragging and dropping cards into one place helped people learn how to move files into folders. The same goes for Minesweeper, which was designed to help people get used to using a mouse and clicking.
Cleaning blinds can be frustrating, but the next time you do it, try doing it with a sock over your hand. Hands are kind of perfectly shaped for getting all those nooks and crannies on the blinds, and the sock will do the rest. Here's something you wouldn't expect. Ice cubes can help you remove gum from carpet, clothing, and hair. Just put your clothes in the sink and add ice cubes. Leave it like that for a while. Ice will freeze the gum, so you can chip it away more easily. If the gum got stuck on the carpet, leave ice cubes right in the critical spot and remove the gum with a butter knife. It's a little bit harder to remove it from hair though, but still possible. Just wrap the ice and parts of your hair with the gum in a washcloth until the gum gets frozen. When you get there, you should be able to break apart the gum and free your hair using your fingers. Or next time you have to deal with a splinter, just take one ice cube to numb that area before you even start doing anything.
You might have noticed that movie theater seats are almost always red. This choice isn't random. It has strategic importance, which is rooted in visual science. The thing is, red light has a longer wavelength. It means that it's the first color to disappear in low light. It allows the audience to concentrate better on the screen once the movie begins. Such a design choice enhances the viewing experience by minimizing distractions. Speed bumps are crucial for pedestrian safety, but at the same time, they can seriously increase car emissions due to the non-stop acceleration and deceleration they cause. To address this issue, some cities like London are testing fake speed bumps. Those are optical illusions painted on the road. They look raised from a driver's perspective, but in reality, they're flat. Authorities hope that this approach will slow down drivers without having a negative impact on the environment. Soda bottles are always filled in such a way that there's some space between the liquid and the cap. That's because soda contains carbon dioxide. It's a gas that can expand once the bottle's heated. If there's no gap in the bottle, it can break because of the pressure building inside. Also, when you open your drink, the gases go out in the form of bubbles, making the drink overflow. The gap helps with this problem too. If you're more into Angry Birds, Candy Crush, and other mobile games, that's totally normal. After all, more people have access to cell phones than to toilets these days. But not many of us stop to think about how disgusting our phones can be. The natural bacteria from our skin and the oils from our hands get transferred to our phones with every touch, swipe, and tap. This makes phones about 10 times dirtier than toilet seats. Yikes!
So listen, if you don't want your next barbecue party to end up at the emergency room, you might want to get rid of that wire brush you used to clean the grill. Over 100 people have to seek medical help because of it every year. Those brass and steel bristles easily separate from the brush and stick to cooked food that ends up in your mouth. With each swallow, they go deeper and deeper. They can poke into or puncture the lining of your mouth, throat, and esophagus, or somewhere else down your intestinal tract. The symptoms this causes could be signs of many different conditions, and because of their tiny size, the bristles are really tricky for doctors to spot. so you can lose the precious time to solve the problem at an early stage. In some cases, one ER visit can solve the problem. But if the bristle moves into deeper tissues, say into your neck, chest, or abdomen, well, it could start an infection, and you'd need some complex surgery to save your life. That was the case for a 63-year-old lady in Michigan. She was eating a hot dog grilled by her husband, and she felt something was wrong from the first bite. She could barely swallow the food because of an unusually painful sore throat and had to see the doctors for help. They sent her home after an inspection, but the symptoms only got worse and worse. A CT scan several months later showed the problem was some tiny metallic object that looked like a piece of hair at the back of her throat. The doctors were able to remove it during surgery. So, to play it safe, take good care of your wire grill brush and inspect it before putting food on it. If you see any loose or dangling wire bristles, get rid of them. If this sounds like too much work, just toss that brush altogether. There are some safe alternatives to it, like wooden panels, pumice stone, nylon bristle brush, or liquid grill cleaner. You can also roll a piece of aluminum foil into a ball and use grill tongs to hold it while you're scrubbing your dirty grill grates. Cooking pros say an onion cut in half can also do the job. The caterpillar that arrived at your barbecue party as an uninvited guest might seem cute and harmless, but not all of them are safe to pick up and play with. There are several types of venomous caterpillars in the US alone that can give you a hard time. Any brightly colored caterpillar that has a spine, bristles, or looks fuzzy could be venomous, and you're better off not touching it. Many caterpillars are equipped with hairs or spines, which are connected to poisonous glands. They often hide on the underside of the leaf, so you could easily miss it. So, when you're doing some work in the garden, it's a good idea to wear gloves and clothes with long sleeves. Your skin will thank you for it. If you get stung by accident, use any sticky tape to remove the hair or spines, and then just wash the affected spot with soap and water. If you plan to go swimming or boating to cool down after the party, remember that algal blooms aren't just a freaky splash of color in the water, but a real problem. They're toxic and can cause a lot of trouble for you and your pets. The symptoms will be less than pleasant, and will involve you spending a great deal of time in the bathroom. Algae bloom means there are plenty of bacteria in the water, so don't swim in it and don't drink the water, no matter how thirsty you are after all the swimming. And if you happen to get some ingested water on your skin, take a long shower with clean water immediately. The media should report cases of dangerous algae blooms in your area, so make sure to check it before you hit the nearest lake. Wild parsnip might not appear in your summer nightmares, but this yellow-flowered plant can do some really mean things to your body. It contains a substance called solerin, and when you accidentally touch it and then enjoy a walk in the sun, the effect it will leave on your skin will be as nasty as the name Sorolin. And you could have dark red or brownish discoloration on your skin for months after your unwanted rendezvous with the plant. It's mostly active and mischievous between May and July, so watch out. Alright, a garden hose must be completely safe as, unlike the grill brush, it doesn't have any small metallic parts, right? Well, when you leave it hanging out in direct sunlight, the water inside can heat up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. If you spray someone with water this hot, their skin won't love it. It's especially dangerous for youngsters and pets. So, if you see someone blissfully unaware, grab the hose, take it from them by force if needed, and let the water run for a few moments before you let anyone play with the hose. It's for their own good. The intense sun can also heat up all the bad chemicals the hose itself contains, like lead and phthalates. So, check what yours is made of and replace it with a safer version that's labeled lead-free or drinking water safe if you plan to use the water for drinking or playing. And if you already have a safe version, but suddenly smell a terrible odor, it could be the algae and bacteria that just love stagnant water. If it comes into contact with your skin, or you swallow it by accident, you could have some serious health problems. The best you can do is replace the hose. And yes, make sure you keep it in a cool, shaded area and drain it well after every use. Now, you're never too old to love the trampolines, but the trampoline might not love you back and give you a spinal injury or broken bones. Almost 100,000 injuries like this with young users happen every year because they're so easy to fall from or land in the worst possible way during a somersault or a flip. The biggest risk of trampoline trouble is when more than one person is using this fun contraption. Nearly 75% of all accidents with trampolines happen when two jumping youngsters crash into one another. And no, some netting or padding really can't save the day. If you want to keep things safe, make sure there's always only one person at a time on the trampoline. You're going to need to install shock-absorbing pads that completely cover the trampoline's metal frame, springs, and hooks. If you see any signs of the padding getting too old, like tears and fraying, you need to replace it immediately. Make sure the trampoline stands on level ground and isn't too close to other structures and trees. A slide in your backyard, no matter if it's made of metal or plastic, can turn into a frying pan under the sun and can heat up to 189 degrees Fahrenheit. So, before you jump on it or let someone else do it, check the temperature of the whole thing top to bottom. And even when your little sister or someone else you love is begging you to go on a ride with them, don't do it. The slide is designed for one person of a certain size. When the two of you end up tandem sliding, the smaller leg can get caught up between the bigger leg and the edge of the slide. The speed will also increase, and it can lead to all sorts of drama. Finally, no matter how tempting it feels in the hot months, don't walk barefoot on that beautiful lawn in the park or even in your own garden. You never know what's hiding in the grass, and if you step on something sharp, like a rusty nail hiding in the grass, you'll get yourself into a lot of trouble. Flip-flops aren't the best idea for everyday summer shoes either. They rarely come with arch support and can make you take shorter steps and put more stress on your body. It's just not good for your feet, joints, and muscles. Otherwise, have a great summer!
You know how it goes. As the years pass, common knowledge slips away faster than you can say, "What's that thingamajig for?" Just think, our grandkids will probably be scratching their heads over the buttons on our old school phones. So it's no wonder that some ancient artifacts have got us all stumped too. Take a look at this funky object. Any guesses on what it is? A musical instrument, a toy, or maybe something out of this world? Beats me, and even the experts have no exact answer. This little guy is a Roman dodecahedron, discovered by some amateur archaeologists near Lincoln, England. It's shaped like a fist and made of a mix of metals. Now, as for what this thingy was used for, that's the million-dollar question. Supposedly, these guys were all the rage back in the day in northern Gaul and Roman Germany. According to some ancient maps, similar dodecahedrons have turned up in Europe, Britain, and even along the maritime Silk Road in Southeast Asia. The plot thickens as more and more of these dodecahedrons pop up. Some had wax inside, leading scientists to think they were candle holders. Others think they might have been used for knitting gloves, since none have been found in warmer regions. There's even one found in Geneva with zodiac signs etched on it, sparking some woo-woo theories about fortune-telling. And now a fresh discovery has got everyone's head spinning. Could this be some kind of sacred tool for the Romans? Who knows? Maybe it's the first multi-tool ever, invented way before Swiss Army knives were a thing. Carved stone balls from Scotland are another historical mystery. They most likely date back to the late Neolithic period and come in various types, from sandstone to granite. They're all roughly the same size and have intricate, evenly spaced patterns of circular bosses or knobs. Most of these designs have 6 bosses, but the number can range from 3 to 160. Some of these balls are more skillfully crafted than others, and a few even have extra decorations. There are over 400 carved stone balls and mostly found in Scotland, although some have turned up in northern England and Ireland. These stone balls rarely show signs of damage or use, and there are no clues that would give away their function. Most experts think they weren't practical tools, but had some symbolic or social importance. probably a sign of power or prestige within their communities. The Folkton drums are the 3 stone cylinders from Neolithic Britain, discovered in the late 19th century in a burial mound in East Yorkshire. Nothing similar has been found anywhere else in the British Isles from any prehistoric period. Each drum is decorated with unique designs covering the sides and domed tops. The decorations are mostly geometric, arranged in panels with stylized human faces peeking out from 2 of the drums. Recent studies of the artifacts using new technologies show that the designs had been carved and recarved over time. A team of experts also analyzed the composition of the drums, and it turns out that they were made from local chalk. In the late Bronze Age in Europe, long before coins became common, finely crafted metal objects served as portable wealth and symbols of high status. Across Europe, archaeologists have found all sorts of artifacts, from gold adornments worn by elites to large bronze cauldrons used in feasts. Beautifully decorated gold rings discovered in Wales are among these items. They're known as lock rings and may have been used to hold hair. Now they're flattened after spending nearly 3,000 years underground. They used to have cone-shaped openings at each end. They were found at different times, but were likely worn as a pair and buried together in a single hoard. Other Roman artifacts made of the copper alloy were first catalogued as lunate pendants. But during a recent re-examination, experts found that these items were actually small mortar and pestle sets, known as cosmetic grinders. They were used to grind minerals for makeup and were specifically designed for applying liner and shadows to the eyes. They were mistaken for pendants because of suspension loops that allowed them to be carried on a cord. These cosmetic sets from the 1st century of the current era were unique to Britain. They prove the influence of imported cosmetics and beauty trends from the Mediterranean and Roman provinces, including Egypt. The Salzburg Cube, also known as the Wolf's Egg Iron, was discovered in the late 19th century in Austria. It doesn't really look like a cube, but is more like a rounded object with 2 flat sides. Down the middle, it has a groove, and the surface is covered with pits and craters. Workers accidentally found this artifact when they blew apart a piece of coal. The coal seam it came from is thought to be over 60 million years old. The Salzburg Cube moved between museums, mysteriously vanished in the early 20th century, and then showed up again. Some researchers thought it must be a Victorian-era candlestick holder, but still, no one knows the true story of the cube or its current location. Archaeologists have unearthed an incredible historical find in Pakistan, an ancient sphinx estimated to be around 12,500 years old. The region where it was found was once a busy center of the ancient Indus Valley civilization. It had advanced urban planning, intricate art, and sophisticated drainage systems. The discovery of the ancient Sphinx is a good example of their progressive art. We all know of the Great Sphinx of Giza, but what was the significance of the Sphinx in the Indus Valley culture? Their Sphinx has designs and carvings that show scenes with their daily activities, which means it may have had a more complex role than a symbol of power or guardian. It could stand for a balance between humans and nature, or even a deity associated with agriculture. Arauca in Chile sits on the sandy dunes of the Atacama Desert, known as the driest desert in the world. Long before this coastal town was built in the 16th century, the Chinchorro people called this region their home. Archaeologists found hundreds of their mummies. Radiocarbon dating showed that these mummies are over 7,000 years old, which makes them 2,000 years older than the famous Egyptian mummies. The Chinchorro used special techniques to preserve the mummies, not just relying on the dry climate for that. And unlike the Egyptians, they didn't just do it for the elite members of their society, but for everyone, no matter what age or status they had. The local people living in Arauca now are so used to finding mummies in their backyards that they don't feel weird about living among them. In the winter of 1850, a powerful storm with extra high tides hit the west coast of Orkney, Scotland. The wind and waves ripped away the surf, covering a mound and revealed stone-built structures beneath. A local antiquarian decided to dig up the village that he thought was from the Iron Age. He managed to unearth the remains of 4 houses and many artifacts from 2 villages. The villages had been buried under sand, so everything was really well preserved. Carbon dating wasn't a thing back then yet, so it was tricky to tell the exact age of the villages. Almost a century later, with new tech, researchers were finally able to tell that the place was actually from Neolithic times. You can still see stone dressers and box beds in the prehistoric houses. Archaeologists and historians working on the famous Terracotta Army think that it might have been inspired by or modeled on ancient Greek sculptures. It would mean there was a cultural contact between East and West much earlier than we thought, long before the Silk Road trade route. There was probably Western influence in China during the era of its first emperor, who took the throne in 246 before the current era. Before that time, China didn't have a tradition of building life-sized sculptures. Earlier terracotta soldiers were much smaller, less than 10 inches tall. Greek artists might have even been present to train Chinese sculptors.
Now, doctors recommend risking your life at least twice a day. I mean, brushing your teeth at least twice a day. But you see, the seemingly harmless toothpaste that peacefully chills on every American counter poses a life-threatening danger because of one not-so-harmless ingredient, sodium fluoride. Now, don't get me wrong, not every toothpaste out there contains it, but most of them still do. But don't rush to the bathroom to trash your tube. If you swallow a tiny pea-sized glob, it isn't fatal. I'm talking about larger quantities. A toothpaste tube has only 0.15% fluoride. To send you running to the hills, you must consume around 8 tubes one by one, so technically, toothpaste is totally safe. Let's go and look for more dangers at your place, shall we? Personally, I don't have this one, but if you happen to have a CFL light bulb, you gotta be extremely cautious with it. The thing is, many of those bulbs are made with mercury. If such a bulb breaks, you gotta start by turning off your ventilation system. Otherwise, the contamination will only get worse. Make sure everyone has left the room, then open a window to allow for fresh air circulation. Finally, clean the area where the bulb shattered. Be careful to address both wet and dry surfaces and contact specialists. Mercury vapors are definitely the biggest concern when it comes to this element. Take, for instance, a case of 2008, where a 55-year-old guy in Oklahoma tried to extract gold from old electronics using liquid mercury. Unfortunately, he inhaled too much vapor and sadly passed away just 10 days later. The contamination was so severe that they had to completely gut his house. Now, you definitely don't want your favorite clothes to get ruined by moths, so you might grab some mothballs to exterminate them. But watch out, those mothballs can exterminate you too. They usually contain chemicals like naphthalene or a paradichlorobenzene. When these get into the air, they turn into gas. That strong smell you associate with mothballs kicks in. Those fumes can actually irritate your eyes and lungs, and may even cause headaches, dizziness, and nausea. Plus, there are concerns about these chemicals being the cause of major conditions that even modern medicine can cure. Naphthalene is especially risky because it can break down your red blood cells, leading to a condition called hemolytic anemia. So try to swap those balls for good old lavender. Moths aren't big fans of it. Now, it's super important to keep an eye on the plants you bring into your home, because some can be surprisingly harmful. Take Diefenbachia, commonly known as dumb cane, for example. Rumor has it that its sap can cause your tongue to swell up so much that it can block your airway. But can it really? Yes and no. It's true that this plant contains poisonous, tiny needle-like crystals called rapides, but they require someone to actually chew on a leaf first before any fuss happens. Otherwise, you might just feel a brief burning sensation or observe some skin redness. In rare cases, you might see some swelling in the area that touched the plant. Generally, just a little nibble leads to mild discomfort, so please don't snack on your potted plants. This warning is more for the safety of your pets, especially cats. Now, if Diefenbachia stays in contact with the mouth for too long, it can cause some serious pain that might linger for days or even weeks. In those cases, a trip to the hospital might be necessary, especially if the throat gets affected, as that could impact breathing. But don't believe the hype that Diefenbachia is a lethal poison. That's just an urban legend. The bottom line? One must be really dumb to get poisoned by a dumb cane. Now, using a power washer can be more dangerous than you might think. The intense pressure can lead to serious injuries, and the high-speed spray can kick up debris that might cause even more harm. If you do get injured, infections can set in quickly, and without timely medical care, things can get really serious. Think severe complications, potential limb loss, or even worse. But honestly, it's not that scary. Just don't overdo it with pressure. Here's a friendly tip. Don't skip out on your weekly house cleaning, especially when it comes to the bathroom. The longer you put off cleaning it, the more risky it becomes. Bathrooms are notorious hotspots for bacteria, which makes regular cleaning essential. You definitely don't want those unwelcome guests like norovirus, E. coli, salmonella, or even Staphylococcus aureus hanging around, along with those molds and mildews. Just put things into perspective. An average toilet seat can host over 200,000 colony-forming bacteria. And here's another thing to keep in mind. If you're not careful while cleaning, you can accidentally create a dangerous situation. Mixing bleach and ammonia can release a toxic gas called chloramine. Those fumes can lead to some pretty nasty symptoms, from shortness of breath to fluid in your lungs. Guess what? If it happens, you will probably kick the bucket. And I'm not talking about the one you use for cleaning the floors in the bathroom. On a sweltering summer day, having air conditioning is definitely a blessing. But don't let that trick you into thinking there aren't risks involved. If your AC is on the older side, it can lead to various issues. For example, the ductwork and filters can trap harmful mold, bacteria, and allergens. If those aren't addressed, folks in your home might end up dealing with coughing, wheezing, or a stuffy nose. Plus, an aging AC unit can pose a fire risk. Older components tend to generate more heat as they try to keep up, and if they're not replaced, you could end up with a potential fire hazard. Faulty wiring is another concern, as many wires are tucked away in hard-to-reach spots, making them tough to inspect. So, if you have an older AC, it's a smart move to have it cleaned properly and ensure that its parts and wiring are up to date to avoid any fire risks. Snuggling under a cozy electric blanket when the weather turns chilly sounds like a dream. But if electric blankets get too hot, they might lead to burns. This risk is particularly significant with older models that don't have an automatic shutoff feature. So the best way to use such a blanket is to warm up your bed and then turn it off before you crawl in. There's also the concern of heat stroke, linked to the use of an electric blanket. Once, 2 people were discovered unresponsive in their beds beneath electric blankets. The first person's body temperature reached an alarming 106.2 degrees Fahrenheit, while the second person's temperature was 105.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So while these blankets offer comfort, it's crucial to use them wisely. Just a quick heads up about windshield washer fluid. It contains methanol, which can really pack a punch. If ingested, it can cause everything from dizziness and headaches to severe poisoning. Make sure to store it safely and keep it in the original container. Never transfer it to unmarked bottles. It can easily be confused with water and other harmless liquids, and that's a big no-no. Methanol is super toxic. For a grown-up, 2 to 8 ounces can do the trick. You know what I mean. The windshield washer fluid you dump into your car usually has about 30 to 50% methanol in it. But the concentrated versions? They can pack a serious punch with 90 to 100% methanol. Just remember, these products need to be diluted with water before you use them. The last everyday thing on our list does seem to be a great buddy of ours, especially if located in the bathroom. But although air fresheners can give your home a pleasant scent, many of them release volatile organic compounds that can build up over time and may pose serious health risks, including neurological issues and incurable conditions. I suggest, if you were to ask me, you play it safe and think about opting for natural alternatives or enhancing your home's ventilation instead. Got that? Good. So grab your phone. Good. Now turn it around. You see that little dot between the camera and the flash? That's a tiny microphone. Bet that's something you didn't know. What's it doing there? Well, when you're on a phone call, This little guy is busy at work, reducing the amount of background noise other people hear when you talk. That's right, if it wasn't for this, calls wouldn't be as nearly as crisp as they are now. You're lost in the woods and you're rushing to get back to camp. You suddenly remember you've got something that can help. You grab one of your chest straps from your backpack and whistle on it. Yup, that's right. A lot of bags have this feature in them, especially the ones made for the outdoors. It isn't long before you hear the call of one of your friends and you follow them back to the warm campfire, saved by this cool bit of design. If you're a curious person, you might have wondered what that little pocket in your jeans is doing there. You know, the one that's inside the bigger pocket? People often use it to store coins and bills, but it's not meant for that. It's actually designed to store your pocket watch safely. Maybe that's where the name pocket watch comes from? You finally arrive home after a long day's work. You understandably don't feel like cooking, so you sit on the couch and watch a bit of TV and order some takeout. How about Chinese? Perfect. There's the doorbell. That has to be your food. It smells delicious. Wait, before you grab the plates, do this instead. Open your Chinese food container on the table. It becomes the perfect plate, and it's cardboard, which means no cleaning either. The can of soda you got with your food has a cool feature too. Look at the tiny metal tab there, the one you use to open the can. Guess what? You can fit your straw in there. In fact, that's exactly what they're made for. Go ahead, try it for yourself. If you're not at your computer, take a look at your keyboard right now. If you're not, that's okay. Here's one on the screen. The keycaps are arranged in what's called the QWERTY layout, named after the first 6 keycaps below the numbers. As it turns out, it wasn't always this way. They used to be laid out alphabetically, which would make more sense when you think about it. The alphabetical layout fell out of use because long ago there were things called typewriters. Remember those? You press down a key and a type bar would fly out, hitting an inked ribbon and stamping a letter on the piece of paper. Eventually, typists got good at this and typed faster. Too fast. The type bars would eventually get caught in a log jam with each other, ruining the flow. To fix this problem, they made keyboards with randomized keycaps. The new layout actually worked better because it made typing harder, helping to slow typists down and prevent the type bars from getting stuck. Much better. Today, no type bars, no typewriters, mostly. People are still fast nowadays, but you just can't help but wonder who is faster though, us or them. Keyboards have another hidden feature too. Have you ever noticed that the F keycap and the J keycap have little bumps on the bottom of them? As it turns out, they're there to help people figure out where they are on the keyboard without having to take their eyes off the screen. Grabbing a takeaway cup of coffee at your favorite cafe might be just what you need to fully wake up in the mornings. When you get back home or to work, though, you might be afraid to stain your desk when you put the steaming hot coffee down. Worry not, your plastic lid isn't only good for keeping your coffee hot, it also doubles as a coaster. In fact, they're the perfect size to hold a cup. Try it for yourself. This one's going to come in handy if you're a home cook. If you're like me, you might have a bit of trouble deciding how much pasta you need for just one serving. Well, if you've got a pasta scoop, grab that. Most people don't know what the little hole in the middle is for and assume it's supposed to help with water drainage or something. It turns out that it helps you measure out a perfect serving. Just see how much dry spaghetti you can fit in the hole and use that as one portion. Out at the store buying coat hangers, you might notice that the plastic ones feel cheaper than the wooden ones. There's a good reason for this. Wooden hangers are made out of cedar wood. The big difference between the two is that the wooden ones repel bugs and moths. They're stronger and last longer too, perfect for things that might stay in your closet for a long time. When you brush your teeth, you might have noticed that your toothbrush has blue bristles. They're not just there for show. In fact, they're there to tell you when it might be time to switch toothbrushes. These bristles lose their strength and color when the brush has been worn down, letting you know that it's time to get rid of it. Microwaves often look a bit like mini TVs, especially ones where you can clearly see the black film around them. This is actually a really important feature that's used to keep the radiation from slipping away. They're called Faraday cages, if you want to get technical. This is why you can stand next to a microwave without melting into a puddle. That's not to say you should stand in front of the microwave and watch your food heat up, but at least you know you won't grow an extra ear or something. Okay, not really. Some ovens have a drawer under them. It's tempting to use this to store random junk you don't use often, but there's a better use for it. Instead, this should be used to help keep the food that's waiting to be served hot. You can take it out of the oven and store it right in this drawer, keeping your oven free for you to carry on cooking. Now, you're on a plane looking around trying to pass the time before takeoff. When you examine the window, you notice this has a little, very tiny hole on its bottom. Don't worry, it's not broken. It's there to relieve the pressure that builds up over time as the plane goes up and down. It also lets the air flow through it. Now, raise your hand if you've ever ridden on an escalator and scrubbed your shoes on its bristles. Hey, I'm guilty of doing that, maybe more than I should. It's not there to clean your shoes, though. It's an important safety measure. It stops your shoelaces, clothing, and other stuff from getting stuck in there, avoiding a nasty scene when you go to get off. Sometimes a piece of fabric comes with your new clothing. It usually comes along with the extra buttons in a little plastic bag. You might think it's just a piece of fabric to use for future patching, in case you rip it. But that isn't its purpose at all. It's actually supposed to be put in the washing machine to test how it reacts to various washings. Now, you don't have to worry about shrinking your new expensive coat because you know how it'll react to the wash. Bubbles! Who doesn't love bubbles? Most people have fond memories with bubble blowers as a kid. But as adults, the closest thing we can get to recapturing that feeling is with bubble baths. After a hard day at work, there's nothing better than dipping into a nice warm bubble bath. Right, guys? And the bubbles do more than just clean you. If they're high-quality bubbles, they'll serve as a heat insulator, so they make sure that your bath stays warm for longer. Boxes of chocolate sometimes have these mysterious holes in them. When I'm eating a box, or two, I usually ignore them and take out the chocolate by pressing the bottom of the plastic. But it turns out that I've been doing it wrong the whole time. If you press one of the holes, the chocolate comes right out. I'm certainly going to start doing this from now on. Here's another one from the kitchen. The handle on a pot will often have a hole in it. Most people use this to hang them on a nail on the wall as an easy storage method. The hole has another use too. When you're cooking, you can use this handle to hold your wooden spoon or whatever else you might be cooking with. This makes sure you don't make a mess when you put it down. Glass bottles usually come with a cap in them. Well, duh. Otherwise, the liquid would just spill. In this cap, there's a plastic liner that seemingly has no purpose, right? Wrong. It's a seal. No, not a seal. A seal. It's the kind that helps keep your drink fizzy. Just the refreshment I needed. A lot of doorknobs are made out of brass, and it's not by chance. They're made out of this specific material because it's bacteria's worst enemy. That's right, it destroys them. Perfect for those who want to keep a clean house and avoid germs. Hey, you want a fish? Fun fact, Olympic synchronized swimmers, now renamed artistic swimmers, don't usually wear swim caps. When they compete, they put Knox gelatin in their hair. The result resembles unflavored Jell-O. Athletes mix the gelatin with water and it turns into a gooey mixture. After that, they comb and brush the substance into their hair, pull it into a bun, and put a headpiece over it. When it all dries, it becomes really hard, and swimmers' hair doesn't fall out when they swim. They often add glitter and other decorations to make their hairstyles even more exciting. The blanket octopus is called this way because of the females of the species. They're supersized and rarely seen. They have a long, fleshy cape which encloses their tentacles. Female octopuses are large, up to 6.5 feet in length. Thanks to this cape, they look even larger and much more intimidating to potential predators. But the coolest thing about these creatures is that the male blanket octopus grows to be a mere 1 inch in length, which is smaller than a walnut. This makes the blanket octopus a species with the largest gender size difference in the entire animal kingdom. Red Bull has published a video showing the so-called world's fastest camera drone following a racing car around Silverstone's Grand Prix circuit. The Dutch drone gods are a company that custom-built the manually piloted drone designed specifically for keeping up with cars moving at speeds of over 186 miles per hour. It took more than a year for Red Bull and the Dutch drone gods to create a drone that could accelerate twice as fast as a Formula One car, reaching this breakneck speed in just 4 seconds. The drone's top speed is almost 220 miles per hour. Recently, scientists have concluded that water might not be wet. You see, wetness is usually defined as a liquid's ability to maintain contact with a solid surface. It means that the water itself isn't wet, but it can make other objects wet. Okay.
Wow.
The Maldives 1,000 rupiah banknote has captured the attention of people from all over the world and received a lot of praise for its stunning design. The note features the striped pattern of a skin of a majestic whale shark and a green sea turtle against a vibrant blue backdrop. It's already been called the prettiest currency in the world. Now, wearing a tie might be more dangerous than you think. It can reduce blood flow to the brain by 7.5%, making you dizzy and nauseous and causing headaches. Ties can also increase the pressure in your eyes if it's too tight. Plus, they're great at transporting germs. Gotta think again whether following that dress code is so necessary. A young girl from Washington broke a Guinness World Record by putting on 45 sweaters at a local library. Sophia Hayden pulled on each sweater individually all the way down to her waist before moving on to the next one. It was done to comply with Guinness World Record rules. She also had to make sure that none of those sweaters was ripped, since damaged items didn't count. As a result, she broke the record for the most sweaters worn at once. The previous record was 40 sweaters, and it was set by a French 11-year-old boy in 2022. Later, Sophia's mother admitted that it had been tricky to gather enough sweaters for that attempt. The sweaters were then donated to charity. Now, it was Louis XIV of France who is believed to have brought salt and pepper together, forming the basis for modern cooking. At that time, only rich people could afford to add pepper to their meals, and the king liked his food to be lightly seasoned with just salt and pepper. Our sun produces a sound, but sadly, we can't hear it. It's emitted in the form of pressure waves, and their wavelength is measured in hundreds of miles. It means they're far beyond the range of human hearing. Now, while we're on the topic of space, let's discuss the fact that our solar system has a wall surrounding it. Well, kind of. It's called the heliopause, and it's the region of space where solar wind isn't hot enough to push back the wind of particles coming from distant stars. That's why this region is often considered the boundary between the solar system and interstellar space. Another space fact for you: comets smell like rotten eggs. I know, ew. Other smells that might surround them are those of burning matches and even almonds. That's because of the traces of hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen cyanide found in the makeup of some comets. In 2016, promotional postcards were even made, carrying the pungent scent of a comet. Now, in any career field, the average worker is productive for around 60% of their working time each day. But if we talk about office workers, this percentage drops drastically. One study determined that the average office worker is productive for a mere 2 hours and 23 minutes per day. The thing is, employees are interrupted in general every 3 minutes and 5 seconds. And it takes people a whopping 23 minutes to get refocused after an interruption. It means that employees get 3 minutes of work done for every 26 minutes they spend at their workplace. Unbelievable. No wonder that statistically, people working remotely are much more productive. Scottish soccer team Inverness Caledonian Thistle Football Club is known for using cameras with AI ball tracking to live stream their matches on YouTube. Well, once, in the 2020 match against Our United to be precise, when a camera repeatedly tracked an official's bald head, mistaking it for the soccer ball. Uh-oh, what a blunder. Now, speaking of sports, football teams wearing red kits reportedly play better. Accordingly, the color of your attire affects not only how you're perceived by others, but also how you feel. A review of football matches in the past 55 years has shown that teams wearing red consistently play better in home matches than teams dressed in any other color. One more awesome story connected to sports. In order to draw some of the most wanted criminals out of hiding, the U.S. Marshal Service once came up with an offer crooks couldn't resist. They invited them to the Super Bowl. In December 1985, more than 100 people came to the Washington Convention Center after receiving a letter informing them that they had won tickets to the largest sporting event in the country. According to the invites, they had been selected randomly from a clearinghouse list of D.C. residents and were supposed to receive 2 tickets to the Redskins vs. Bengals game that day. But to get in, they had to come to a pre-game party to collect their tickets. And guess what? The plan worked like a charm. Over 100 criminals were arrested, which made Operation Flagship one of the most successful in U.S. police history. Now moving on. Your brain is eating itself non-stop. Wait, don't panic yet. It's a totally normal process known as phagocytosis. During this process, cells envelop and consume smaller cells or molecules to remove them from the system. Luckily, phagocytosis isn't harmful. It actually helps preserve your gray matter, keeping it in top shape. Boy, I could use more of that. Giraffes are 30 times more likely to get hit by lightning than people. Between 1996 and 2010, there were just 5 documented lightning strikes on giraffes that ended tragically. But if we consider the fact that the population of the species was just 140,000 at that time, it makes for around 0.003 lightning casualties per 1,000 giraffes each year. This is 30 times more than the number of tragic accidents involving lightning strikes that happen to people. Animals experience time differently from us humans. To smaller animals, the world around them moves more slowly. For instance, salamanders and lizards experience time not as fast as, let's say, dogs and cats. All because of the perception of time, which depends on how quickly the brain can process incoming information. And finally, snails do have teeth, between 1,000 and 12,000 to be precise. These teeth aren't like ours though, so there's no need to picture snails with silly toothy grins. Snails' minuscule teeth are all over their file-like tongues. So there.
Some men wear shoes with hidden heel lifts to look taller. Such shoes can make a person up to 6 inches taller. They look like regular shoes, but inside they have this extra insert. Sometimes, such an insert is glued down. Sometimes it's removable, and you can choose the height you need yourself. When the Titanic hit the iceberg and sank sometime later, the Atlantic Ocean was around 28 degrees Fahrenheit, which means the water was below its freezing point. No wonder so many passengers didn't make it. Some birds have a row of bristles protruding from the edges of their eyelids. Those bristles can probably be called eyelashes, but while human eyelashes are modified hairs meant to protect the eye, bird eyelashes are modified feathers. Identical twins don't actually have the same fingerprints, so you can't blame your misdeeds on your sibling after all. Different factors during development in the womb, like the position of the womb, umbilical cord length, and the rate of finger growth, impact fingerprints. Earth's rotation speed is changing. It's slowing down right now while we're talking. It means that, on average, the length of the day gets 1.8 seconds longer every century. 600 million years ago, a day lasted a mere 21 hours. Most world maps are wrong. On the majority of maps, they still use the Mercator projection, which was the first developed in 1569. But this method is very inaccurate and makes Alaska look as large as Brazil, while in reality, it's 5 times smaller. As for Greenland, it looks 14 times larger than it actually is. For a map to be precise, it would need to be life-sized and round, not flat. Ants don't have lungs. They breathe through tiny openings known as spiracles. An ant may have 9 or 10 of those on each side of the body, depending on the species. The average color of the universe is poetically called cosmic latte. In a 2002 study, scientists discovered that the light coming from other galaxies averaged into a beige color that was very close to white, just like the drink beloved by many. There is such a thing as minus decibels. The quietest place on Earth is Microsoft's anechoic chamber in Redmond, USA. The level of sound there is minus 20.6 decibels. Such chambers are built out of heavy concrete and bricks and are placed on springs to stop vibrations from entering the chamber through the floor. Bananas are radioactive. Wait, where did you go? It's not that bad. Bananas are rich in potassium, so each banana is slightly radioactive due to the natural isotope potassium-40. On the other hand, your body contains around 16 milligrams of potassium-40, so you're actually about 280 times more radioactive than that poor banana. And in any case, your body gets rid of that excess potassium-40 from a banana within several hours. There's simply no such thing as a straight line. You just need to zoom in close enough and you're bound to spot some irregularities. Even a laser light beam is a bit curved. In emergencies, fish form orderly lines. For example, when evacuating through narrow spaces in dangerous situations, school of neon tetrafish queue so that they don't crash into one another or clog up the line. Scientists think that this behavior means that fish can respect social rules even in emergency situations, unlike us humans. Hippos can't swim. These animals have large bones. These bones are so big and dense that it makes hippos barely buoyant at all. So these animals don't swim. Instead, they perform something like a slow-motion gallop on the riverbed. Hippos can also sleep underwater thanks to a reflex that allows them to rise to the surface, take a breath, and sink back down to the bottom without waking up. Lego bricks can withstand compression better than concrete. A regular plastic Lego brick can support the weight of 375,000 other bricks before it breaks. Theoretically, it could allow you to build a tower more than 2 miles in height. But if we decide to scale this up to house-sized bricks, the price would be exorbitant. If you ever go to space, you can take your yo-yo with you. In 2012, NASA astronaut Don Petit took a yo-yo on board the International Space Station and used it to show some tricks. You see, a yo-yo mostly relies on the laws of conservation of angular momentum to perform tricks. And if you keep the string taut, these laws apply in microgravity too. There's a theory that claims that we sweat when we're anxious to alert the brains of other people that they're primed for that danger that's making us feel anxiety. Brain scans have revealed that when you sniff the sweat produced by a panicking person, regions of the brain responsible for emotional and social signals light up. And when you are anxious, your sympathetic nervous system produces hormones, including adrenaline, which switches on your sweat glands. There are rainbows on Venus, and they're called glories. A glory looks like a series of colored concentric rings and is caused by the interference of light waves inside droplets rather than the process of reflection, refraction, and dispersion of light, which produces rainbows. Protons look like bagels, spheres, peanuts, and rugby balls. In other words, protons come in different shapes and sizes. Their appearance changes based on the speed of quarks, smaller particles within them. If you look at the moon while being in the southern hemisphere, it will seem to be upside down, and the man on the moon will look more like a rabbit. You will remember more of your dreams if you sleep badly and wake up many times throughout the night. You're also more likely to remember your dream if someone or something wakes you up in the middle of it. Dogs tilt their heads while listening to people to pinpoint familiar words like walkies more effectively. It also helps them to understand the tone of your voice better. There's also an idea that if a dog doesn't tilt its head often, it's because it relies more on sight and less on sound. Mirrors facing each other won't produce infinite reflections. Each next reflection will be darker than the previous one, and eventually they will fade into invisibility. mirrors absorb just a fraction of the energy of the light falling on them. So the total number of reflections mirrors can produce is around several hundred. You can smell ants, since many species of these insects produce strong-smelling chemicals when they feel threatened or angry, or when they're being squished. Trapjaw ants release a chocolatey smell when they're crushed, and citronella ants give off a lemony odor when they're threatened. Giraffes hum when they want to communicate with each other. Researchers think that this low-frequency humming might be a form of contact call between individuals that have been separated from their herd. It can also help giraffes find each other in the dark. But the coolest thing about these magnificent animals? Some scientists think that they could sleep talk too. And a cool bonus story for you. About a marathon runner who took over 50 years to finish the race. Japanese marathoner runner Shizo Kanekuri was selected as one of the 2 athletes that Japan could send to the 1912 Stockholm Olympics. But Kanekuri shockingly disappeared during the marathon race. It turned out that after a rough 18-day-long trip to Stockholm, first by ship and then by train, the man was exhausted. During the race, he stopped running because his condition simply didn't allow him to run further. The athlete stumbled into a nearby garden party where he drank orange juice and stayed for a while to recover. Later, Kanekuri was so embarrassed by his failure that he returned to Japan without notifying anyone, including race officials. So, Swedish authorities considered him missing for 50 years before finding out that he was peacefully living in his home country. In 1967, the athlete was offered the opportunity to finish his run. He accepted. 54 years, 8 months, 6 days, 5 hours, 32 minutes, and 20.3 seconds after he started the race, he completed the marathon. It was a long trip. Along the way, the man got married, had 6 kids, and 10 grandchildren.
They say, whoever they are, the future is just around the corner. Well, no, the future is already here. And these cool new inventions are here to prove it. Who knows? They might just help save you as well as the planet. Now, this robot is unstoppable. And don't worry, it's not going to take over the world or anything. Probably. The thing you are looking at is called a vine robot. What distinguishes it from other soft robots is that it's super tenacious when it comes to making it through difficult terrains and tight spaces, which makes it appropriate for missions like search and rescue. The idea for this device actually came from real vines. The inventors were inspired by how a vine moves and grows, so they started thinking about ways they could replicate the same movement robotically. Eventually, they came up with a simple and elegant design that doesn't require any expensive materials. All they needed was some airtight tubing. Remember the water wiggle toys? I do. The mechanism of their soft robot acts just like that. Then, to make it grow out from the tip, they used compressed air. And just like that, the basics of their invention were ready. It's so easy that you can build one yourself in as little as a minute. Aside from being easy to replicate, their design comes with other advantages as well. It can enter gaps 1/4 of its original size. Sticky surfaces and sharp objects don't really affect it as long as the air pressure is continued to be applied. The inventors, of course, have upgraded their design and created different versions so that the robot will be able to perform various tasks. For example, they added a camera to the robot's tip, which made it ideal for things like archaeology. And the robot was even taken to the Andes Mountains of Peru to investigate some very narrow shafts underneath an archaeological site, and was able to explore 3 of the tunnels successfully. However, the use of vine robots will not be limited to underground. It might be possible to use them for space exploration as well. When blown into something like sand, compressed air fluidizes. In return, this allows the vine robot to burrow into granular materials. So, NASA can use it to study the surfaces of other planets. But it has one more application. A miniature version of vine robots can potentially be used for medical procedures, such as intubation too. making the process faster and easier. Talk about being multifunctional. Can you think of anything else it can be used for? Now, these capsules are not for swallowing. Tiny houses and van life have been the hype for quite some time now. But vans require gas, and tiny houses require some sort of infrastructure. Eco-capsules, on the other hand, require nothing. These egg-shaped micro-units are 100% self-sustainable living pods that give you the freedom to place them wherever you like and to live off-grid without causing any harm to nature. If all non-renewable energy sources were to end today, you could still be able to live the life you're used to in the eco-capsules for up to several months. So, no need to go all survivor mode immediately. Eco-capsules can also be used as scientific research stations or even remote hotel rooms. They are 88 square feet and are equipped with a smart home system. They come with sleeping space for two, a kitchenette, shower and toilet, storage space, and even electrical outlets. They create their own electricity using a combination of a wind turbine up on a telescopic pole and a roof that is lined with solar panels. Their unique shape allows them to collect rainwater. The rainwater that falls on their surface is gathered in their tanks, where it is then filtered and becomes ready for use. In case there are no rainfalls for a while, the tanks can still be filled from any water source, such as a lake or a river. And in terms of drinking water, additional filters are installed directly on the faucets. The greatest thing about eco-capsules is that they have almost zero emissions and zero ecological footprint. So every eco-capsule inhabitant will basically be taking part in saving the world while they're living in it. This magnetic slime robot may look disgusting and frightening, but it definitely is game-changing. The blob-like robot is made of a water-soluble synthetic polymer, borax, and magnet particles. It is a non-Newtonian fluid that has viscoelastic properties, which means it can act both as a liquid and a solid depending on the level of pressure that's being applied to it. Accordingly, when you touch it quickly, it acts as if it's solid, and when you touch it gently and slowly, it acts as if it's a liquid. Hey, turn the pressure on me and I melt into a puddle, so I'm familiar with this. The tiny particles of magnets within the slime give it the unique ability to move. They can be controlled to make the robot travel, rotate, or form different shapes, such as a C or an O. There's no limit to which direction it can move, and from the looks of it, nothing can stop it from going. It can navigate passages that are as tiny as 0.06 of an inch, move around objects, and reach speeds of 1.2 inches per second. What's even more groundbreaking is that it can stretch 7 times up to its original length, grab onto multiple things simultaneously, and even extend tentacles in different directions. It's shown to be able to conduct electricity and pull wires together, which gives it the capacity to switch and repair circuits. In the future, the creators of the slime hope that it can be used for medical procedures, such as retrieving objects from the digestive system that are swallowed by accident. Sorry, I can't help myself. In addition, if the swallowed object is something toxic, like a small battery, the slime can also hypothetically be used to wrap around it and prevent toxic electrolytes from leaking out into the body. However, the magnetic particles inside the slime are actually toxic themselves, but the researchers have coated them with silica to make the robot safe for this hypothetical application. The coolest thing about the slime robot is the fact that it is self-healing. That means it can bring itself back together even if it is chopped apart, without the help of external sources. And it can maintain its electrical capabilities after healing too. These all sound like some science fiction stuff, but you can relax since the slime is not sentient, at least for now. This is the transparency we all need. When you think of solar panels, you immediately picture large black squares that are mounted on rooftops, right? Well, transparent solar panels are here to change that. Solar panels create energy by absorbing sunlight and converting it into electricity. If the material they are made of is transparent, that means the light will completely pass through them. Accordingly, a transparent solar panel used to be something of a contradictory idea. However, in 2014, scientists from Michigan State University were able to come up with a solution to this contradiction and develop a fully transparent luminescent solar collector that can turn any glass sheet or window into a solar cell. These transparent solar concentrators are composed of clear organic salts. They capture the wavelengths of the solar spectrum that are not visible to the human eye, like the ultraviolet and infrared, while allowing the normal visible light to pass through. These captured wavelengths are then guided to the edges of the cell, where thin strips of conventional solar cells convert them into electricity. The researchers are hoping to make solar energy affordable, therefore widespread. So much so that they are also looking into using transparent solar cells as screens for smartphones or tablets. No more rushing to the charger once you see the 1% on the battery symbol. It's expected that the transparent solar cells will be able to deliver a 10% efficiency once mass production begins. This doesn't appear to be much, but if these panels can be implemented on every window of every home or office building, imagine. They can for sure help to change the future. You see these blades? They have notched corners to make your cutting experience smoother. Ooh! The front edge notch helps with separating blades during manufacturing, while the trailing edge notch helps the blade glide easily. And a fun fact, that notch on the front also helps you spot unused sections of the blade. Just a little visual indicator to make your life easier. When it comes to silver versus black blades, they're both made from the same stuff. But black blades are sharper and are better suited for cutting through tough materials, while silver blades strike a balance between cutting power and durability. If you want that extra cutting oomph, go for black. Oh, almost forgot. The only thing those blades aren't meant to cut is food. It has a rust-proofing oil coating, which is not safe for humans. Check this one out. It's totally giving me childhood vibes. Now, I remember my grandma having tomato-shaped pincushions just like this, and sometimes they would look more like a salad, with a little pepper thrown in there. Well, believe it or not, this salad actually has a purpose. The tomato keeps your pins in place, while the pepper keeps them sharp. Those peppers are filled with sand, which helps keep your pins nice and sharp. And it's not just sand. Crushed walnuts can also be used to keep your pins in tip-top shape. Now look at this multiple pocket tool and this little hook on it. It's a bit of a mystery, but it's actually pretty handy. I counted at least 4 different applications. 1. You can use it to carry all sorts of awkward stuff, like camping gear or heavy parcels. 2. Need to twist some wire or play around with knots? The parcel hook has got you covered. 3. This hook can save the day with those stubborn zippers, like the ones on your luggage. 4. It's great for pretending to be a budget version of Captain Hook. If you know more applications, let me know in the comments. Apple users, with this feature, you'll never get laundry surprises again. Now, I bet you've had this situation at least once in your life. You wash your stuff, and when you take it out of the washing machine, the size seems to only fit your cat. Your iPhone camera can actually translate those funky laundry symbols for you. There are 2 requirements though. You must have iOS 17, and your phone must be in English. Take a photo of the care label, go to the Photos app, and see the details of the image. Everything will be automatically decoded and explained to you. Now, many toasters come with nifty removable crumb trays at the bottom. It's super important to give these trays a good clean every now and then to keep your toaster running smoothly and avoid any potential fire hazards. Just pop them out, shake out the crumbs, and you're good to go. Where you shake them out is up to you. Those little compartments on your gas pump aren't just for show. They're actually there to hold your cap while you're filling up. This nifty feature keeps things tidy and prevents any spills or drips on the handle. So, say goodbye to messy refueling experiences and hello to a cleaner pump. Plus, it makes the whole process way more convenient and efficient. Now I'll bet your oven gets so greasy and dirty sometimes that you can even hear it oink. Just kidding. I know you're a tidy person. Anyway, if you're looking for a way to bring your kitchen cleaning to a whole new level, here's a tip for you. Most oven doors have handy latches that let you pop the door off for easy cleaning, saving your poor back from the strain. When you're draining noodles or potatoes, there's no need to bother transferring everything to a colander in the sink. Just throw the colander right into the pot, hold it down, and pour the liquid out. It makes life so much easier, especially when you want to save that starchy water for recipes. It's a must for authentic pasta, by the way. So let's say you've snagged this gem at a thrift store a while back for just under $1. It's seen better days, serving as an ashtray, but you decide it's time to give it a new lease on life. Here's the lowdown on how to make it shine again. Mix up a solution of boiling water, baking soda, and table salt in a bowl lined with aluminum foil. Let the piece soak for about 15 minutes and repeat this process 3 times. In between soaks, gently scrub any rough spots with a microfiber cloth. After the final soak, dry the piece off and rub on some toothpaste, baking soda, and peroxide. Buff out any remaining tarnish with a clean, dry microfiber cloth. Rinse it off, and now your piece is practically gleaming like a mirror. These aluminum foil boxes have nifty little tabs on the sides that make it super easy to grab a sheet without any hassle. It's like a fancy little bonus that makes the product a breeze and ensures you'll have a smooth sailing experience every time. Manual can openers often come with a handy built-in feature, also known as a bottle opener. It's like getting 2 tools in one. But did you know that this bottle opener actually has another useful function? It can help you loosen those stubborn, hard-to-open jars. Simply lift the lid slightly at a couple of points with the bottle opener, and then watch it as it effortlessly twists right off. Yeah! Okay, I just found that, apparently, you're supposed to save the first and last slices of a loaf of sliced bread for last. It's like a bread hack or something. Apparently, those end pieces help keep the rest of the bread fresher for longer, and you shouldn't eat them until you've devoured the rest of the loaf. So, next time you're making a sandwich, save those heel slices for the very end. Even bread eating needs a good strategy. Now look at those blue levers on the top rack of your dishwasher. I was curious about them too, and it turns out they're actually water bottle sprayers. They help to ensure that your bottles get a thorough cleaning and rinse during the wash cycle. Many vegetable peelers have those little scoops on top for taking out the eyes from potatoes. And here's a cool tip. You can actually use vegetable peelers in both directions to peel faster, but most people just stick to one direction. When using yellow mustard, make sure to push the lid of the bottle all the way open until you hear a satisfying click. This way the lid will stay securely in place and won't get in the way when you're dispensing the mustard onto your food. It's a simple step that can make your condiment experience hassle-free and enjoyable. So there. You know that little hole at the end of your pot or pan? Well, it's not just for show. You can actually use it as a handy holder for your forks and spoons. Next time you're cooking up a storm in the kitchen, just pop your utensils in that convenient little hole and keep them close at hand. Okay, just a heads up to remember to switch the direction of your ceiling fan for the changing weather, and to give it a good clean too. I've seen that a lot of folks found it helpful before to reverse the fan's direction by flipping a switch for different seasons. So this is just a friendly reminder to go ahead and do it again, pushing hot air down and pulling cold air up. When you're chowing down for some pizza, just tear off the top of the box and use it as a big old plate. You can even rip the box in half and fold it to save some leftovers for later. Well, that's it for today. What, you want to know more cool facts? Sure, but you'll have to subscribe and hit the bell to get more videos. I'm waiting. Go ahead. You know what? Onions can help fight off the flu. And apparently they can do it in various ways. Like you can put them in your socks, which somehow transfer their disease-fighting abilities through your feet, or you can drink onion-infused water to treat or prevent illnesses like colds or the flu. Well, unfortunately, these are all false beliefs. When it comes to directly combating cold or flu viruses, onions are unlikely to have a super impact, but overall, they're good for you. At the same time, onions do have a high concentration of quercetin. It's a pigment known for its potential anti-inflammatory properties. The correct way to open a new deodorant is by manually prying the top off. Nope. Removing the cap from a new deodorant stick involves twisting it. This move triggers the mechanism to push the safety cap off. This method helps avoid the hassle of manually prying the lid off, leaving deodorant residue under your nails. Now, what about the ideal time for using deodorant? You might think it's in the morning before you leave the house, but the optimal time to use deodorant is in the evening. At this time, your body temperature is cooler and your underarms are less moist, providing a greater opportunity for the deodorant to work effectively on your skin. Applying deodorant in the morning is still okay for those people who don't suffer from excessive sweating. So, if you sweat a moderate amount, there's no reason to change your daily routine. Now, keeping your shower curtain inside or outside the tub is a choice. But apparently, putting the shower curtain inside the tub reduces splashing and prevents water from escaping. The decorative cloth curtain belongs on the outside, whereas the plastic one should be on the inside. I mean, the whole idea is to prevent splashing water. Now, watering your plants on scorching hot days harms them. Rain showers occur during the summer season all over the world, and plants easily survive in these conditions. At the same time, when you water your plants on hot days, a substantial amount of liquid might evaporate before it can effectively benefit the plants. It's worth noting that this might be different for some sensitive indoor plants, such as African violets. It can result in leaf damage if you pour very cold water directly onto their leaves. Now, let's continue with another garden-related thing. Tree roots only reach as far as the outer edge of tree branches. Myth or fact? Well, it's a misconception. The root systems of many trees can extend well beyond the diameter of their crowns. For instance, magnolia trees can have roots that reach nearly 4 times their crown diameter, while the roots of red maple trees can exceed their crowns by up to 3 times. It's easier to shuck corn before it's boiled. Well, in the past, before the invention of modern cooking methods, many recipes involved pre-shucked corn. However, you can still grill it with or without the husk when it comes to recipes like grilled corn. A recommended technique is to partially shuck the corn, leaving only a few layers closest to the cob still attached. This method retains moisture while also providing appealing char marks on certain kernels. Alternatively, you can cook whole, unshucked ears of corn in the microwave or by boiling it if you prefer. Moving on with everyday items you've been storing wrong. Take eggs, for example. Leaving them in the fridge door is good for them, right? No, this can lead to a roller coaster of temperatures every time you grab a snack. As for nuts, they're happier in the fridge. Heat can make them go all wonky, especially if they're the kind with lots of good fats. So, keeping them chilled helps them stay fresher and tastier. There's another common myth about nuts. It's said that roasting them decreases calories, proteins, carbs, and fibers they contain. But no, both cooked and uncooked nuts have similar amounts of those. The main goal of roasting nuts is to enhance their flavor and crunchiness. Keep this in mind though. When nuts are roasted, the healthy fats they contain may get damaged, and in the end, this can result in a reduced nutrient content. Now let's talk about avocados. Don't toss them in the fridge if you want them to ripen on schedule. They like hanging out at room temperature. We can also put an end to another avocado-related myth. Avocados are fattening. Yeah, they do have a high fat content compared with most other fruits. But this doesn't necessarily make them bad for your health. In fact, avocados contain what's often called healthy fats, which can help reduce harmful cholesterol levels in your body. Now let's carry on with diet and food. Swapping white table sugar for unrefined options like honey, maple syrup, and coconut sugar is supposed to make your diet healthier. Well, don't fall for this myth. Sugar is sugar, no matter whether it's refined or unrefined. While unrefined sugars may contain a few extra vitamins and minerals, the advantage is minimal because they're still considered added sugars. These added sugars can add up and contribute to your diet's recommended limit on daily sugar intake. Full-fat products aren't a one-way ticket to weight gain. That's a myth from the 80s and 90s. Some people are still scared of fat, but it shouldn't be the case. Fat plays a few essential roles, such as protecting our organs, maintaining cell membranes, supporting health and development, and helping absorb vital vitamins. The key is to choose heart-healthy unsaturated fats like olive oil, canola oil, nuts, nut butter, and avocados over saturated and trans fats found in fatty meats and high-fat dairy products. There's a common belief that avoiding carbs entirely will make you lose weight. Well, that's a myth too. Low-carb diets have made their rounds, vilifying carbs, including fruits and whole grains. While some people have had success with these diets, it's usually because they've cut out highly processed carb-laden foods like chips, cookies, and white bread. You know, all the stuff we like. Eliminating an entire food group isn't the best approach, as you might miss out on essential nutrients. Another belief is that you can get rid of body toxins with a detox diet. Well, sorry, most detox diets don't live up to their promises. Your body is already good at detoxing itself with the help of your liver, kidneys, and gastrointestinal tract. You don't need to buy any special products. If you want to rejuvenate your body, focus on eating more whole foods, staying hydrated, and cutting out highly processed junk food. Okay, I have 3 life hacks for you. These aren't myths. Firstly, you can stop a pot from boiling over by putting a wooden spoon over its top. Secondly, if you position a cheese grater vertically, there's a better way to use it. Lay it down horizontally. This way the process will be less taxing for your arms. My next tip is about your yoga mat. Leaving it in a hot, humid spot like your car can ruin it. Keep it cool and dry for maximum yoga zen. Now, many people know they should keep their fancy fragrance bottles away from direct sunlight. So, some people store them in the refrigerator. This isn't the right move, unless you want your perfume to lose its overall depth. I mean, yes, fragrances don't like heat or humidity, but the interior of a refrigerator is too dry and cold for them. So it has the opposite effect and breaks down the scent molecules. And please, resist the urge to rub a bit of perfume on your wrist. It may be tempting, but rubbing your fragrances is a big no-no. This practice not only muddles and weakens the scent, it also causes the top notes to evaporate quickly. They say that if you have old photos in your house, the right way to stash them is by putting them in cardboard boxes. Well, this is a misconception. These types of boxes can damage your memories. Go for acid-free archival boxes if you want your pictures to look as good as new. The next one is more of a hack than a myth. It turns out dishwashers are more user-friendly than we give them credit for. When you're loading or unloading the dishwasher, you can save your poor back from unnecessary strain by pulling out the basket. You might think that foundations are safe at room temperature, but if you store your foundation in a makeup bag, heat can mess with the oils in your makeup. So pop this product in a cool drawer. Eye creams and serums can benefit from the chill too. Organic or homemade cosmetics without preservatives should also be refrigerated, but always check expiration dates. I know I do. So you can wash your hands as much as you want, but you're never going to get that garlic or onion smell off your hands. The smell of certain foods sticks to you because they release acidic molecules when you break them open. Washing your hands will help clean the food off you, but it doesn't do anything to remove the odor itself. Water on its own can actually make the issue even worse because it reacts with the molecules to make the smell stronger. It turns out that the best way to get rid of these smells is to rub your hands against your pots and pans, cutlery, and baking trays. As long as they're made of stainless steel, that is. This is so good at removing smells that someone even invented stainless steel soap. Trying to squeeze all of the juice out of a lemon without a strainer can be messy work. Instead of using your hands, try using some tongs. Place a lemon between the tongs and squeeze it. You'll definitely get a lot more juice with much less effort. Lint rollers were originally designed to remove tiny fibers from things like upholstery and clothing, but you can also use them to keep your silverware shiny and clean. The dishwasher might thoroughly rinse and clean your utensils, but that doesn't help much if the place you store them is dirty. If you want to remove the dirt from the utensil tray, you don't have to take the whole thing out of the drawer. Simply take your sticky lint roller and put it into each compartment, and ta-da! The crumbs and dirt are all gone. Lost your earring back? Take a small piece of pencil eraser and stick your earring in it. That'll keep it in place. Soda cans come with that little tab you use to open your drink. You know that hole in the top of the tab? It doesn't just make opening the can easier, it's also designed to hold your straw. It has more uses too. If you want to hang a picture up on a wall, but it doesn't have a wire or hanger, you can use a soda can tab for that too. You're having a coffee to go. It usually comes with that lid so you can close your drink, but you can also use it as a coaster. Take it off, turn it upside down, place it under your cup, and you'll never leave a mark on a table again. If you don't know how much spaghetti to have for dinner, there's an easy way to measure out a portion with a spaghetti spoon. The base of the spoon has a hole so you can drain water out, but it can also be used to measure how much pasta you should cook. Whatever fits in the spoon's hole is 1 serving of pasta. You opened applesauce and don't have a spoon with you. No need to buy one. Just take the lid, twist the end to make a handle, and use the other end as a scoop. Your little spoon is ready. Once your tissue box is empty, you don't have to throw it away. It's a great shape to store things in. Maybe you can never seem to remember where you keep your plastic bags. If you put them in an empty tissue box, you'll always know where they are. Binder clips are great little things to carry around with you when you want to leave the house carrying as few things as possible. Link one together with your keys, and you can just clip bills to it. With one of these, you'll never need to carry a wallet or purse around with you again. If you don't have a computer duster or something specifically designed to clean your keyboard, just use a cotton swab. Lightly moisten it with disinfectant and wipe between the keys once or twice a week. You may notice lots of boots have those loops sticking out on the back. Their main purpose is to help you pull your shoes on easier. Just pull it up as you push your heel into the boot. It has another handy use too. You can use it to hang your boots on a hook when they're dirty or when you want to dry them after washing. You can also run your laces through the loop if you're tying them around your ankles. It can be irritating when you buy shoes you like and then realize they're really slippery. No worries, just take a bit of sandpaper and rub it on the soles for better traction. Now they're more grippy. You could even wear them out in the rain. Okay, I admit it, I used to believe that the rougher end of the two-tone eraser was there to erase ink. The truth is that the darker side, which is usually blue or gray, can erase pencil from more delicate paper. This type of paper is usually only used by artists, so most people don't know about it. That's not all erasers can do though. They can polish your jewelry, clean electronics, and even remove that annoying residue from stickers. It can also clean scuffed up suede and dirt you might have on your walls. Uh-oh, your zipper got stuck again, and you're late. Who has time to deal with that now? Well, wax paper does. Try rubbing it on the stuck zipper, and it should loosen. Can openers can do so much more than the name suggests. For instance, they can help out with those frustrating hard plastic packages. Arrgh! You don't have to wrestle with scissors anymore. Just take a regular can opener, run it along the edge of some packaging, and enjoy never struggling to open anything again. Now, here's a top secret. Shh! WD-40 can completely remove gum from the soles of your shoes. It removes stickers, labels, and even crayon marks from walls. You could also use it to untangle your necklaces and loosen a ring if it gets stuck on your finger. Surprise! Now your earphones have a new holder. Neatly rolling them up in a Kinder Egg is a cool way to stop them from getting tangled. Hopefully. Doorknobs are mostly made of brass, and that's not a coincidence. Sure, it adds a nice golden shine to a room, but it actually has a practical reason too. Brass is generally durable and, most importantly, resistant to all the moisture and oils on human hands. It's also antibacterial, so brass doorknobs actually help to keep your house more hygienic. Wooden hangers look fancier and more elegant than those plastic ones, but that's not the only reason they're more expensive. They're actually made of cedar, which is a special type of wood that repels bugs. Speaking of the wardrobe, putting a soap bar inside will leave a refreshing scent on your clothes. Nail polish is not only for beauty treatments. Thanks to its adhesive and waterproofing abilities, it's great if you need to make a protective seal or stick some things together. No more licking envelopes, the nail polish is here. It can also keep your glasses frames tighter, fix a run in your stockings, guys, or take care of the fraying ends of the shoelaces. You get a small silica gel packet every time you buy a new pair of shoes. You should keep them because silica gel is excellent at absorbing moisture out of the environment. It can be used for much more than just shoes, though. You know how everyone says if your phone is wet, you need to put it in a jar with some rice? The rice is supposed to draw the water out, but silica is even better when it comes to absorbing moisture. You can also put silica packets in your gym bag to stop any bad smells from building up. Make sure to always be careful with silica gel, though. The warning label clearly says you shouldn't eat it because it contains toxic additives. You're writing an essay on your computer. Almost done? Oh no, the internet's gone. No problem, there's an easy way to use up some time. If you use Google Chrome, you'll see a little T-Rex show up in your browser, right next to No Internet. When this fellow appears, just press the Up key on the keyboard and you'll start a platformer minigame. You need to help the T-Rex run around without hitting any cactuses on its way. Okay, connection, no need for you to come back. I've got some records to break. We all know what a thermos is for, but it wasn't actually invented to keep your coffee warm. It was made by a Scottish scientist who just wanted a safe place to keep his chemicals at a stable temperature. So he took 2 bottles, put the smaller one inside the bigger bottle, and vacuumed out the air between them. Ah, thank you for helping me keep my coffee warm.
Next time you follow a recipe where you need to separate egg yolks from whites, try this. Peel a clove of garlic and rub your fingers with it. Carefully break an egg into a bowl. With your garlicky fingers, pick up the yolk. And voila, you can now marvel at how perfectly it separates from the egg white. If it's egg peeling time, there are 2 easy ways to do it. When cooking eggs, add a teaspoon of baking soda to the boiling water. This will make peeling eggs much easier. You can also place them under cold running water as soon as they're ready. The eggshells will come off much easier, and you won't burn your hands while peeling the eggs. The sides of roads have sleeper lines for a very important reason. Their main function is to alert those drivers who doze off behind the wheel. When a car starts steering off the road, the tires go over the lines, and the sound wakes the driver up. Those price tags and labels that come glued to your Tupperware are easier to remove than you might think. No need to waste hot water and soap trying to remove them. Take a hairdryer instead. Blow some hot air directly onto the tag for a minute or so. There you go, the label comes off at once. White household appliances might get yellow with time. To make them white again, use this simple trick. Apply bleaching cream to the surface of an item. Wrap it in plastic and let it stay this way overnight. The next morning, check it out. It'll be as white as when you first bought it. When you buy a pack of cans, opening it might turn into a problem. You probably tear a hole in the plastic and try to squeeze a can out of there. But the bottom of cans was actually designed to make this part much easier. Grab a can and rub it over the top of another can from the pack. A circle the exact same size of the can will be cut out. This way, you can easily remove the new can from the pack without destroying the entire thing. Now to the art of lime squeezing. When you pick limes at the grocery store, you never know how juicy they are, and often, when you bring them home and squeeze them, almost no juice comes out. Try heating these citruses in a microwave for 30 seconds before cutting them open. You'll see that the juice will come out much easier. But be careful, they're going to be hot, and you don't want to burn your hands. If you're hanging out with your friends and feel like listening to some music but don't have a loudspeaker, there's no need to worry. Place your phone in a cup or bowl. The sound will get louder instantly. If you don't have a hanger at hand but still need to hang your shirt, this trick is for you. Most dress shirts have a tiny loop on the back between the shoulders, and you can use it to hang your shirt. How about the worst case scenario? Your phone is running out of battery and you're running late. Try this simple trick. Switch on airplane mode. Your phone will charge to 100% in no time. You can run the sticky part of a Post-it note along your laptop's keyboard. This will help remove tiny bits of food and dust that get stuck in between the keys. Avoid putting really hot food into plastic containers. Hot plastic releases all kinds of toxic chemicals, and we don't want our food to absorb that nasty stuff, right? What can be better than a bubble bath in the evening? But the bubbles are not only pretty and smell nice, they also keep the water temperature hot for longer. This way, you can enjoy a long hot bath without getting cold too quickly. You got home craving a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but your peanut butter now has 2 layers, and the oil is at the top. To avoid getting disappointed, next time, store a peanut butter jar turned upside down. Your screwdriver and wrench can work together to remove that stubborn screw. Grab your screwdriver's handle with the wrench and use it to apply more force. This method will also help you reach more difficult areas. There is a reason why your coffee stirrer looks like a straw. It has holes in it because it reduces the amount of plastic manufacturers have to use. Plus, they prevent the stirrer from floating. The holes in the stirrer get filled with coffee, which in turn makes it heavier. And speaking of coffee, you should never buy the product that is more than 18 months old. Make sure to look at the best before date when buying it. If you've ever had trouble with those classic salt and pepper shakers, the ones you may see in diners, I've got a trick for you. Instead of shaking your entire arm to try and get some salt out of the container, try rubbing the bottom of one container with the bottom of the other. Grab the salt and hold it so that the bottom of the container faces downward. Now, while holding the pepper shaker upright, rub the 2 bottom parts together, creating circular friction between them. After this, the salt will spill effortlessly. After a long day of hiking, your shoes might smell funny. Well, I've got good news for you. Put dry tea bags inside your shoes and keep them in a dry place for a while. The tea bags will absorb bad smells and make your shoes dry. If you've torn your flip-flop while taking a walk, there's a way to save the day, but only if you have a bread clip with you. First, push the strap back into its hole. Then attach the bread clip to the bottom of the flip-flop strap. Here you go! Your body needs a daily amount of vitamin C to boost your immune system, but oranges are a tricky fruit to peel. To avoid getting sprayed all over your face, start by cutting off both the top and the bottom parts of the orange. Then, cut the peel vertically. Hook your fingers under the opposite sides of the cut and open your orange. If it's difficult for you to figure out how much detergent you need to wash your clothes, here's a tip for you. Usually, detergent caps have markings that indicate the exact amount of liquid you should use per wash. It helps your detergent last longer. Permanent markers are not as permanent as you might believe they are. I can prove it. Let's say you used a permanent marker, thinking it was a regular one, to draw something on a whiteboard. Good news for you, you don't need to throw the board away yet. There's a way to save it. Get a regular marker and use it to draw over the lines left by the permanent one. Let it sit for a while so that both markers blend in together. The thing is, the ink of the regular marker contains a solvent that dissolves the pigment the permanent marker contains. Now take a paper towel and rub the whiteboard clean. The marker will come off easily. If you need to peel peaches, use the technique called blanching. First, heat up some water. Wait until it starts boiling. Soak the peaches in the water for about 20 seconds. Then put the fruit into a bowl with cold water and leave them for about 5 minutes. There you have it. The peel will come off nicely and easily. That plastic lid covering your drink can be used as a coaster. Take the lid off and put it on the table. The bottom of your cup will fit perfectly into the lid's inner ring. No more stained tables from now on. Bristles on escalators are there for safety reasons. They remain stationary while the escalator is moving, preventing people from standing too close to the sides. This helps to avoid accidents like getting your shoelaces stuck. If you pay close attention to elevator doors, you'll notice they have a small hole in them. This is a keyhole, and only authorized personnel have the key to it. They use it in emergency situations or during a regular maintenance routine.
Road and construction workers are usually dressed in orange because the bright orange hue is visible even in bad weather. It's the most effective color to attract attention and alert people. No wonder lots of safety jackets and traffic cones are orange as well. The stop sign has an 8-sided shape to help drivers recognize it easily, even if they see it from the back. And when the signs weren't reflective yet, the octagon shape prevented drivers from confusing the stop sign with any other at night. The rumble strips on the side of the road are placed there to alert drivers who doze off behind the wheel. When their tires move over these strips, the noise and vibration work like an alarm clock. There are magnetic locks on fuel hoses at gas stations. They come in handy if someone drives away with the gas nozzle still attached to their car. In this case, the lock detaches the hose automatically. Oh, that's embarrassing. Gasoline looks like a rainbow in a puddle because it can't mix with water. It forms a thin membrane over it. When light reflects from it and the water at the same time, you've got a rainbow. A triple handle on a jerry can is there to make it easier for 2 people to carry it and distribute fuel evenly. Gas cans often have a second hole that actually needs to be uncapped too before you pour the gas. The air passage will prevent it from pouring out, so no more fuel waste. Most gas cans have 2 holes with caps, a bigger and a smaller one. You're supposed to uncap the smaller hole before pouring gas inside the bigger one. It'll prevent the liquid from glugging and spilling all over your clothes and the ground. Another little thingy we often neglect is a point on an ointment cap. Most tubes are usually sealed with a plastic film or foil, and opening it with your fingernails isn't the best idea. A point easily opens even the most safely sealed tube. You can use most screwdrivers together with a wrench to create more torque. Just place the wrench over the handle of the screwdriver. This way, you'll need to apply a lot less force than before. You'll also be able to get to hard-to-reach areas more easily. They install cameras in shops, banks, and hospitals to monitor everything. If something happens, you can call the police or rescuers. The camera really helps to solve a lot of problems. Why are there no cameras on planes? The crew keep order on the plane, but they won't be able to do anything if something serious happens. Besides, there's nowhere to run on the plane. During the flight, the cameras are useless, and after the flight, the words of the passengers work ideally instead of cameras. So, if cameras do no good, then why spend money on them? Water is great at cleaning stuff because it has triangular molecules. They're made of 1 oxygen and 2 hydrogen atoms, H2O. Such molecules have slightly different charges on their opposite sides, pretty much like magnets. That's why water easily sticks to other molecules, including those that make up dirt. Lots of private houses have triangular-shaped roofs because this allows rain, snow, and fallen leaves to slide off the slope. If all this stuff piled up on top of your house, one day your roof would collapse. When a storm is coming, clouds seem to turn dark, but it's just an illusion. Thin clouds on a sunny day let the light through easily. They also scatter all the colors of the light spectrum. This makes us perceive the clouds as white, but the thicker the clouds are and the more water droplets they contain, the less light they let through and the darker they look. A good doorknob is the one made of brass, bronze, or some copper alloys. These metals have an anti-germ effect. Bacteria spread way slower on them. They also get rid of germs pretty fast, within a couple of hours. Nope, it doesn't mean you don't have to wash your hands. Diamonds have such symmetrical shape to show you their brilliance. Initially, the gems aren't so beautiful. They go through several stages of cutting, and then become pieces of elegance. Most of these stones have a round shape with slightly pointed corners. Diamonds shine the brightest in this shape. Why are there 2 holes in the socket? The left hole is neutral, the right hole is not. And the gap underneath is ground. Electricity needs to flow through the chain. The current flows from the hot slot, passes through your phone charger, for example, and then goes through the neutral hole. Ever wondered what that small pocket on your jeans is for? People used to wear watches on chains. That small pocket was meant for it. Now, almost no one wears such a watch, but the pocket remains. You can still keep something small in there, like a ring. In London, there are some poles that look like street lamps, but there are no bulbs. Well, their official name is stink pipes, and they're a thing of the past now, but they used to come in handy back in the 19th century. These hollow poles would vent away the air and explosive gases with bad smells to prevent, shall we say, unwanted consequences. Most kitchen shears have metal plier-like teeth in the middle, between the handle grips. They can help you crack nuts, crab shells, and other tough products. You can also open jars and bottles or remove herb stems with their help. Leather often looks dull to the eye because it's covered with itsy-bitsy scratches and scrapes. They scatter the light that hits the material. When you coat your shoes in a layer of wax, you fill these tiny crevices. The surface becomes smoother and the rays of light bounce off it more evenly. That's why the leather looks shiny. Highlighters are filled with a special semi-transparent fluorescent ink that can glow in dim light. Yellow and light green hues are the most popular because they don't prevent you from seeing the text after black and white photocopying. Photocopiers perceive yellow and light green marks as very pale and don't print them. They make magnets shaped as a horseshoe because this increases the magnetic force. Colors matter too. The blue part indicates the South Pole, the red part, the North Pole. The two poles work simultaneously and increase the attraction force. The dime-sized holes in elevator doors is actually a keyhole. If the doors get stuck, an operator can open them manually thanks to this hole. They'll just insert a special key. The tiny hole in the airplane window is there to balance air pressure. The window has 3 layers. The outer pane is extremely sturdy. It can withstand air pressure differences during takeoff and landing. The inner pane, which is the closest to you, is made of cheaper materials. It prevents potential damage to the window. The hole itself is in the middle pane. It not only balances the pressure, but also prevents the window from fogging. Escalator brushes are there for your safety. They don't allow you to come too close to the edge of the escalator. This way, your clothes won't end up between the steps. You see the sun as yellow or orange because the atmosphere of our planet scatters such colors as blue, green, and violet. This is also why the sun looks warmer at sunrise and sunset. Go shopping for some oranges and I'm sure you'll get them in a red mesh bag. You'll rarely see them lying around without one of those. It's pure marketing, and that color isn't a random choice. When packed in a red mesh bag, oranges appear more orange, fresher, and more appealing to you. So, you're more likely to buy them, right? Lemons are usually sold in green mesh bags for a similar reason. If you pack them in red, they'll appear more orange. Green goes better with yellow and makes those lemons stand out. Mattress manufacturers make a limited number of different mattresses, and the only way to make them look different is to come up with a fancy stitching pattern. 2 mattresses of 2 different companies might be the exact same quality, but cost differently. Most people will never know it and will decide that different patterns mean something in terms of quality. So, when shopping, don't mind the pattern at all. Almost all hotels have white bed sheets. They choose this color specifically to show how high their standards of cleanliness are. The whiter and brighter the sheets are, the more luxurious the hotel seems. It's much easier to see dirt and stains on white linen. It's like proof that you've checked into a clean room.
Here's how you can protect your bank card from potential fraudsters. Use a marker and cover the last 4 digits. You can also use a sticker that's easy to remove and place it over the security code. Have you had a house guest that didn't use a coaster? Get a hairdryer and hold it a couple of inches away from the stain. Blow it on medium heat for a couple of minutes to evaporate the watermark. If a faded ring remains, mix equal amounts of vinegar and olive oil in a bowl. Wipe it onto the marked area and rub it in until the stain disappears. Then wipe it off. Don't waste time scrubbing the burnt stains off the bottom of a pan. Instead, fill it with water and add 3 tablespoons of salt. Let it sit overnight as the salt dissolves the burnt marks, and in the morning, pour the water out of the pan. This way, it will be much easier to scrub all that grease off. Picture this. You're on vacation and your shirt has become all crinkled inside the luggage. You need it tonight, but the hotel doesn't have an iron. Don't panic. Hang the shirt up in the bathroom, and while you relax in a hot shower, the heat and moisture will unwrinkle your shirt. It won't be perfect, but it will get much better without any effort. The football is on, and it turns out you've run out of standard batteries. You can use a smaller battery instead that easily fits inside. Now take some aluminum foil and crunch it up. Fit it into the gap on the negative or flat end of the battery. All done! You can turn on the TV now. Once your flip-flops crack and the plug easily slips out of the hole, it's normally a sign that you need a new pair. But there's a way to extend their mileage. Push the plug back through the hole, then take a bread clip and attach it to the end. The clip will provide enough support for the plug to remain in place. You've received a package and the receipt is taped on. You've managed to detach it from the box. But how to separate the tape without ripping the paper? Hold both ends of the tape apart, and by pulling it slowly, the tape stretches and separates itself from the paper without tearing it apart. Ziploc bags are perfect to keep things dry, but it would be great if they were larger. Take two and turn one of them inside out. They can now connect and work as one large bag, big enough to protect a keyboard. There's no need to carry your keys in your hand when you go for a jog. Instead, put them inside your pocket, take a rubber band, then tie it around the pocket from the inside. This stops the keys from falling out. You've broken your key in the door. It's stuck. Great. Arranging for a locksmith could cost up to $100, but for a cheaper and quicker option, try using a hot glue stick. Heat the end with a lighter, and once it's warm enough to melt, push the glue into the keyhole. The melted glue will enter the available space, covering part of the key. Once it cools, it compresses and gains a strong hold of the key's end. Now, just pull it out. If you need to siphon liquid through a hose and want to avoid using your mouth, put one end in the liquid and hold the other upwards with your thumb closing the top. Now shake up and down. This jiggle motion pushes liquid upwards, a little each time. And once it reaches the top, lower the exit point and let gravity do the rest. You've left your keys locked inside the car. It's an older model with a roll-down window. You could get the coat hanger and begin the long process of finding the lock. Or use duct tape. Make about 20 2-foot-long strands. Stick them onto the window, allowing enough room for the tape to grab onto at the bottom. Then with a friend, take the ends of the tape, holding them together, and pull downwards. The force will allow the window to lower enough that you can unlock the door. While drilling long screws into hardwood, your old drill might not have enough power, leaving them only halfway in. Before the drill gives up, get a block of wax and scrape the edges of the screws with it. The wax works like a lubricant, melting as it gets warm and providing easy entry for the screw. You're out camping, but you didn't bring anything to light the barbecue. Take a small plastic bag that won't leak, fill it up with water, and close it tight, making a round bubble. Hold it over where you want to catch the light from the sun. The bag of water will work like a magnifying glass, starting up the barbecue, just as long as it's a sunny day. Missing a corkscrew or a cork breaking halfway? By using a stove lighter, heat the top of the bottle. The heat slightly expands the glass, and this forces the cork out the top. You've superglued your fingers again. Take some salt and pour it on top of your stuck fingers. Put your fingers into the water and slowly rub. The mixture will dissolve the glue and release you in no time. While hanging up a painting, it can be impossible to find that stubborn nail. Place a fork upside down and insert it so the nail is in between the middle fork teeth. The fork has provided a long arm that's separated from the wall, making it easier to slip the string of the painting over the nail. Once it's perfectly balanced, simply remove the fork. You need to put a cake into a container, but taking it out again later by lifting it up from the inside might ruin the cake. Put the lid upside down and place the cake on the lid. The base of the container is now the lid, making it much easier to access, slice by slice. Pour out water more efficiently from large jugs and bottles by swirling. This will make the liquid inside spin, creating a vortex. The vortex allows for the air to flow back into the bottle as the water pours out, much faster than the glugging alternative. There's an easier and less messy way to remove eggshells from a boiled egg. Once fully boiled, crack the shell on both ends by tapping them. On one end, pinch off the shell. Use the opened end to blow with your mouth. The force of air will push the flesh and expand the eggshell, forcing out the egg undamaged. When the hinges of your laptop break, repairing them can cost up to $300. A far cheaper fix is to buy a picture frame and tape it to the back of the screen. You've dropped a small piece of jewelry on the floor, seemingly impossible to find. Take a stocking and place it over the end of the vacuum hose. Give the area a good vacuum and check the end periodically. You will eventually find it sitting at the end. You've drilled a hole in the wall, but the drill hole is now too wide. Remove the screw and find an object that is slightly shorter and thinner. Pieces of plastic, small wires, paper clips, or even toothpicks are perfect. Place whichever item you find inside the hole. It's filled the gap enough so the screw will now re-enter securely. Taking the trash out can put you in a gross scenario of getting bin juice on you. A great way to avoid this is by placing old papers at the bottom of the bag. Now, not only does it absorb all the liquids from the food and other sources, but also helps prevent bad smells from forming within a bin. Nobody likes mosquitoes, and pesticides are pricey. A cheap alternative is to take a plastic bottle and cut the top part off from the bottom of the funnel. After removing it, turn it upside down and put it inside the bottle. Mix 2 cups of warm water with 2 tablespoons of sugar. The mosquitoes will be attracted to the formula inside and become trapped. Now just sit back and relax without getting bitten.
Next time you're getting ready for work, take a closer look at your go-to shirt. Every buttonhole is stitched vertically, but check out the very last hole. It's stitched horizontally, right? This is because the bottom part of your shirt endures the most stress from pulling, as it's where your hips are. So that horizontal buttonhole isn't a mistake, it's put there to stop your shirt ripping as your hips move. That layer of bubbles that forms when you add bubble bath to your tub isn't just for fun. The bubbly layer also acts as insulation and keeps your bath warmer for longer. The pom-pom on top of your beanie wasn't put there as a fashion accessory. The pom-pom was originally added to the hat to prevent sailors banging their heads on the ceilings of the ships that were too low. Crackers have holes in them to stop them cracking and breaking during baking. If the holes weren't there, steam would build up inside the cracker and make it collapse. Those numbers on stickers they put on oranges aren't random. If there are 4 digits and the first is 3 or 4, this means the fruit has been made with conventional farming techniques. 5 numbers beginning with an 8 means the fruit has been genetically modified. 5 numbers beginning with a 9 means the fruit is organic. Margins on paper aren't for writing in dates and numbering lists. They were originally added to serve a protective function. Back in the day, rats used to be a pesky problem in people's homes, and paper was one of their favorite snacks. Margins were added as a safeguard, so that the rats would nibble on blank paper rather than taking a bite out of your important work. If you put your Chinese takeout on a plate when it arrives, you're doing more work than you should. Much like the paper condiment pots in fast food restaurants, your cardboard Chinese takeout box can be unfolded to create the perfect size plate for your food. The long neck on your soda bottle is designed like that to encourage you to hold it there. That way, the heat from your hand will only warm that top bit of the bottle instead of heating up your whole drink. Why does a lapel have a buttonhole with no matching button? Originally, coats and jackets did have a corresponding button so that the wearer could turn up the collar and fasten it around the neck to keep warm. Over time, people stopped doing this, and the button was removed. But many suit makers still keep the non-functioning traditional buttonhole. It's always hard to see your food in the microwave because of that pesky black grate on the window, but it's there to stop harmful microwaves escaping. Called the Faraday Shield, it protects you as well as ensures that your food cooks properly. That random diamond on your backpack is called a lash tab or pig snout. It's there so you can thread cords through the holes to carry extra gear. Perfect for camping or long hikes. Golf balls are covered in dimples rather than being perfectly round, so that the ball can fly through the air more smoothly, decreasing the drag and allowing it to travel further and faster. Your makeup pads have 2 different sides for a reason. The bumpy side is used for applying makeup, while the flat side is for removing it. Donuts have holes so that the inside and outside cook evenly. Before the holes were added, the inside would often be greasy and doughy, while the outside was crisp. Your Apple laptop charger has tiny legs that can be folded out, and they're not there so your charger can stand up. These legs, when unfolded, allow you to wrap the cable around and then clamp it into place, securing it and preventing the cable getting tangled or damaged. Now take a look at a soda bottle, and you'll notice a disc inside the bottle cap. This helps seal in the liquid and the drink's fizz, stopping it from going flat. That hole in your hollow lollipop stick isn't to prevent choking, should it ever be swallowed. It's actually there to keep the candy in place. Excess candy flows into the hollow tube and the hole, which, when it hardens, keeps the pop in place. If it was a smooth stick, the candy would slide off easily. The zipper on leather biker jackets is often sewn diagonally. It's not just a fashion statement. Zips that are stitched vertically can bunch up if the wearer leans forward, but a diagonal zipper won't. That little triangle on your gas gauge is there to let you know which side of the car your gas cap is on. Now you'll never pull up to the wrong side of the pump in a rental car again. Vacuums come with so many attachments, but do any of us really know what that one with long bristles is for? It's for dusting and is perfect for cleaning framed art, blinds, and lampshades. Those tiny holes in the chocolate box tray actually serve a function. Push the hole near the candy and it'll pop straight out with you having to get your hands dirty. How thoughtful. Some skyscrapers have hollow floors that can contain nothing but an elevator. It's actually a way to get around height limits. Some skyscrapers are given a limit to the number of floors they can have. Because the hollow floors are empty, they add to the height of the building and make it look more impressive without increasing the number of floors and breaking the building contract. These hollow floors also help to prevent the spread of fires. Women's shirt buttons are traditionally on the left for a reason. Back in the day, it was a sign of wealth, as it signified that a chambermaid had dressed you, as having the buttons on the left made it easier for them to do up the shirt. Your cuticles serve a purpose, so think before you get rid of them. The small area of skin is there to protect your nails from infection. Without it, bacteria and fungi can get in. What's the difference between a wooden hanger and a plastic one? Aside from helping keep your clothes in shape, cedar wood hangers also repel moths and bugs. If you look closely at an elevator door, you'll notice a tiny hole. This is actually a keyhole used for emergencies or for routine maintenance checks. Those random buttons dotted across your jeans are called rivets and are placed in the weakest spots of the jeans to protect them from ripping due to strain or movement. The Statue of Liberty's crown has 7 points for a reason. They represent the 7 seas and 7 continents and were added so that she could extend her freedom to everyone on Earth. Suitcases often come with 2 zippers so that you can connect them with a padlock to prevent theft. Salt isn't just used for cooking. It can get rid of tough smells. Rubbing salt on your fingertips after chopping garlic should remove the smell. It also works on shoes. If you're in a hurry to get somewhere but your phone is low on charge, switch it to airplane mode while it's plugged in. It'll charge much faster. Men's shirts have a loop on the back so that they can be hung on a hook in a dressing room or a locker room without creasing. Vaseline has a hidden purpose. It's great for removing scuffs from patent leather shoes. It'll also shine them. Trunks have an emergency latch if you ever accidentally lock yourself in, like I do. Don't ask me why. If you fumble around to locate it, all you have to do is pull on it and the trunk should open. Toasters have a secret slide in the bottom that can be removed so you can clean out all those annoying breadcrumbs. Take a look at your laptop keyboard. There are bumps on the F and J keys, but nowhere else. When your fingers are in the optimal typing position, your index finger should rest on these 2 keys. The bumps have been added so that you can correctly position your hands for typing without looking at your keyboard. If you happen to be missing your index fingers, perhaps from feeding sharks a little too closely, then you're out of luck. So, grocery carts have loops for a reason. You don't want to put your jacket in your cart next to a bunch of potatoes and onions, do ya? Hang it on the loop instead. It's there to help you organize your cart better. Carts also have a cool section at the bottom. Whenever your cart's full, just lift it up and attach a shopping basket for extra purchases. Lift up the whole metal thing, sit your basket on the horizontal bar above the wheels, and secure it with those handy hooks. If you've got some pesky parsley stuck in your teeth, try this tip. It can be hard to get it all out with loose floss. You need more tension. Just tie it in a knot. Toothpaste stripes may seem a bit weird. It's just a marketing trick. Back in the 70s, a leading toothpaste brand added a blue stripe to show that their toothpaste had double action. Solid white toothpaste worked just as well. But those blue bristles on your toothbrush actually make sense. They gradually lose their color over time. When the blue's faded, it's time to change your toothbrush. Ever notice that tiny hole on the bottom of a padlock? Its hidden purpose is to drain water out to keep it from rusting. It's also the place to lubricate a padlock. A drop of oil in there will make it open and close way easier. Those ridges on the edge of dimes aren't just for show. People used to shave off the edges, then melt the edges down into new coins. But thanks to the new design, it's easy to tell if someone's been shaving the edges off. If you still struggle with peeling an orange, here's another way of opening it. First, cut off the top and bottom. Make a slit on the side and pull it open. That knobbly bit sticking out of the cap of your favorite cream is there for a reason. These tubes are usually sealed with foil, so unless you love breaking your nails trying to open them, just flip the cap over and push. The tiny rubber disc under every bottle cap isn't just for seeing if you want a lifetime supply of soda. It's what keeps your drink all nice and bubbly. The lid keeps the liquid inside. The rubber disc keeps the gas inside. Until you drink it. If you use the blue side of your eraser to erase pen, your notebooks are probably all full of holes. The blue side's there for when you need to erase something on much thicker paper. It works on pencil and even ink, as long as the paper's thick enough. Your bobby pins might not stay in place if the grooves aren't facing the right way. They should always be on the bottom, close to your head. Still coming loose? Put a squeeze of hairspray right onto the bobby pin before you put it in your hair. Many glass bottles usually have some sort of indent at the bottom. It's handy if you want to be fancy. Put your thumb in the indent and pour away. The technical name for this little dude is a punt. Those sugar sticks at your local coffee stand are ready to be opened in a new and easier way. Look how happy they are. Try splitting it right down the middle. No more sugar on your fingers, no more tiny little paper bit, even your coffee's happier. Your Cotton Rounds pack has those strings on it so you can hang it on a handy hook in the bathroom. But there's no need to loosen and tighten back up again every time. Check out the bottom of the pack. It has a perforated line. Tear it open carefully and you're good to go. Doorknobs are usually made of brass, bronze, or some other copper alloy. Why? They're antibacterial, so they stop microbes from spreading. Just a couple of hours and the pesky microbes are gone. But don't forget to wash your hands anyway. Bottles have long necks for a reason. Hold the neck, not the bottle, if you want to enjoy a cold drink. 2 zips too much? Maybe, but they come in handy as a clever anti-theft device. Just lock them together. Now no one can open your backpack. Don't have a lock on you? You can also tie them together with some string or even just a paper clip. Anything to slow those pickpockets down. That tiny little button on the back of a shirt collar is used to hold your tie in place. You don't want your tie trying to escape back there. Shoe manufacturers care about their customers. So most running shoes now have a special anti-blister system pre-installed. Sounds intense, but it's basically just that extra hole on top of your sneakers. Make a loop with the extra hole, inserting the lace backwards. Cross your laces and put them through the loops. Now pull the laces down to lock your foot in place. Now run. You'll find silica gel packets when you buy bags, shoes, even some snacks. Don't throw them away. They soak up excess moisture, so anytime your shoes are a bit damp, chuck a few gel packets in there overnight. You might have been using your shampoo wrong this whole time. Really? Here's the gist. Don't apply it to your hair. Just apply it to the roots. The foam you create will trickle down on your hair anyway. Notebook margins aren't for taking extra notes or practicing emojis. They were invented to protect people's work. People used to live with a lot of hungry rats around. The rats would nibble at the paper, eating people's work. They put the margin lines there to let people know to start their writing further from the edge, so it's not lost to a hungry rodent. Solo cups are the key element for any barbecue party. But these red cups are even cooler than you thought. You can use them to measure liquids. The bottom line equals 1 ounce, the second line equals 5 ounces, and the third line equals 12 ounces. If you like milk on your tea, try this tip out next time. Pour it from the other side of the carton. It sloshes around less and it's easier to control. Car headrests are all about comfort, and detachable headrests are all about safety. If you pull the headrest out, you'll see 2 sturdy metal bars. If you ever get locked or trapped in a car, you can use the bars to smash the window and get out. Women's shirts have their buttons on the left, even though about 85% of people are right-handed. It would make way more sense to have them on the right. The thing is, back in the day, wealthy women had maids to help them dress. So, for them, the buttons on the left made things much easier, don't you know? The tab on your rearview mirror does have a real function, people. It holds your air freshener, your huge fuzzy dyes, maybe a big smiley emoji. But it's actually a switch between day and night mode for your mirror. When it's dark out, the night mode blocks the glare from the car behind you. The McFlurry spoon has a square handle on it. It gets attached directly to the ice cream machine, and the ice cream and toppings get mixed in together, right in your cup. It saves the employees loads of time, plus it saves water because they don't have to wash the machine after each one. Wooden hangers are so hot right now, they could burn up your clothes. Nah, not really, but they look better and are more natural. But there's another reason to use them. They're made of cedar, which is a natural moth repellent. Bonus tip? Add some dry orange peel to your closet. No moth is ever going in there again.
Okay, I know it's kind of cold to the touch, especially on a freezing winter's day, but did you know that brass doorknobs actually serve a purpose apart from looking classy and shiny? Since it's a copper alloy, brass has antimicrobial properties. That means it can help get rid of harmful germs and bacteria, sometimes in up to 2 hours. In high-traffic areas, that's all the more useful, but since brass is much costlier than other metals like nickel and steel, you barely see these types of doorknobs anymore nowadays. Speaking of lovely multi-purpose items, most screwdrivers have a tiny little secret of their own. They can sometimes be slid through a wrench so that they can be used to create more torque when twisting, not to mention the uses when it comes to bolts in hard-to-reach places. There's a reason why buttons on women's shirts are for the left-handed, and it has nothing to do with fashion. This practice dates back to the times when chambermaids were helping ladies dress themselves, and it was easier for them to perform their job with this orientation. Having the buttons placed as such indicated a sign of wealth, so it's easy to imagine why the practice carried on, even though most people dress themselves nowadays. Next time you receive a package in your mail, take a look at your box cutter. If it features some diagonal lines on the blade, you're in for a little design perk. Turns out that these are blades that snap off. Continuously cutting cardboard can dull the sharp edge of the blade. To help prevent the need to buy a brand new box cutter, the top segment along the next line can be broken off to reach a new sharp edge. To do this, check out the small hole at the base of the tool, sometimes called the blade snapper. The people that first came up with this brilliant invention were engineers inspired by the way chocolate bars are segmented. Hold on a minute, don't throw away the cardboard package just yet. Most likely, you'll have some silica gel packets somewhere at the bottom of the box. Since this gel is basically a drying tool, it gathers up the moisture out of its environment, so you can store these packets for further occasions. Whether you'll need to dry out your phone or some other electrical object, you can place them in a container next to the silica gel to reduce the damage. You don't have to be a mechanic to know when a standard car tire needs replacing, since they come equipped with a neat indicator.
Take a closer look, and you'll see that treads within the tire are a bunch of rubber notches. When the treads are evened out with the perpendicular bars, it's a sign you need to book an appointment with your local car service, since most likely the tires have lost most of their traction and may not be safe for driving any longer. The upper corners of a car windshield feature textured black dots melted into the glass edges. This neat add-on isn't there for design purposes. It's called frit glazing, which means that a special type of ceramic paint is added to the window for protecting its sealant from UV rays. It also conceals and creates a coarser surface for the adhesive used to set the window in place. Whenever you're up for a drive, check out if there's a small tab under your car's rearview mirror. Bet you didn't know it's there to help switch the mirror from daytime to nighttime views. It uses a prismatic glass technology to blur the reflection and reduce the glare of headlights behind you in traffic. People came up with these manually tilted mirrors in the 1930s, but they became standard somewhere in the 1970s. While you're in the car, check out the headrests, as you most likely don't know that they carry a little disguised purpose. Of course, they're adjustable to accommodate passengers of any height so that they get the proper support for their heads and necks. The hidden feature is that they are detachable and come with two very solid metal bars. Should you ever find yourself stuck in a car and need to make a fast getaway, these bars come in handy to crack out the car windows. So you're out for a drive and you're suddenly out of gas. What I'm about to describe sounds more like a meme than an actual situation bound to happen. But what if you're in such a hurry that you accidentally drive off with the gas nozzle still in the tank? Well, the nozzles have been designed to prevent any hazards from happening, rest assured. They feature a breakaway device that will allow the hose to separate when taken out with enough force. Initially designed in the early 20th century to be worn exclusively by basketball players, sneakers soon became one of those fashion fundamentals, similar to jeans and leather jackets. If you take a closer look at them, you'll see they have two extra holes on the side, similar to the shoelace holes. They're manufactured as such not only to provide extra ventilation, but to allow people to get extra creative with their laces when wearing the shoes. Admit it, you've always thought that chopsticks are merged at the end for the sole purpose of keeping them together until you're ready to dig into your meal. That may or may not be the whole truth. Under a more detailed inspection, the wooden tools feature a square-shaped end. Chopsticks manufactured like this date back to an old Japanese traditional design, which can help with breaking the ends easily. The separated end can then be used as a resting block for the chopsticks to keep it more sanitized in hopes it can be used again, since they won't be touching the table or any other surface. Women's bikes have a special design which, surprisingly, has a historical and fashionable purpose. The lower frame is for the most part meant to make up for the generally shorter height of ladies, compared to that of the average gentleman. While that is the case for handlebars and saddles, the overall frame is lower for an additional purpose. Way back when women wore long skirts and dresses all day, every day they needed to make sure their outfits wouldn't get caught in the frame. That's how we came up with a lower framed bicycle, perfectly made for women and their needs at the time. The fact that toothpastes are multicolored is not just a nice perk to make dental hygiene more fun. There's a secret meaning related to each of the colors, which dates back to the 1970s. In those days, people grew more and more interested in their oral health care, and as such, they were looking for products which could do more than merely clean their teeth. One company was the pioneer in that regard, adding mouthwash to its toothpaste, meaning the blue strip. They later added on the red strip, meant to feature ingredients which helped with gum care. Speaking of toothpaste, check the cap next time you open a new tube. You may be in for a little surprise. There's a pointed cone shape inside the cap, so you can puncture the seal of the toothpaste without cutting yourself or ruining your manicure. Not to mention, it's more hygienic since you won't be able to transfer germs or other bacteria into the product itself. On the subject of bathroom countertop items, toothbrushes come with a neat add-on hidden in the bristle patterns. Apart from making the toothbrush look cooler, they also do come with a practical purpose. Most toothbrushes come with a pattern of blue bristles intertwined with white ones. The blue dye is meant to fade out, signaling the time when you need to replace your toothbrush. Dentists say that toothbrushes should be replaced every 3 to 4 months, but it does serve as a great reminder in case you forget. Still love playing with Lego? Don't judge. Hey, it's a great hobby for all ages. Notice there's a hole on top of the Lego heads? Behold, you're looking at a safety feature that the people at Lego designed to prevent choking hazards. The most dangerous issue should a person swallow any of these pieces is the blocking of the airways. Designing a hole inside the Lego head helps the air to flow freely through the piece until it can be removed safely. We're now used to all sorts of modern light bulbs, some tubular, some shaped like diamonds, and some even twisted altogether. Historically, light bulbs were round and the initial shape served a purpose in itself. It was mainly connected to the fact that glass bulbs were hand-blown, which gave them the round shape to begin with. The hidden practical reason was that the light bulb filament needed to be at the same distance from every surface of the glass sphere. The easiest way to achieve this was to make the glass in the shape of a globe. Have you ever wondered what these extra holes at the top of your running shoes are for? They're designed so that you can tie the shoes in multiple different ways. That's useful when you want to compensate for things such as a bad stride or even a damaged toe. Plus, you can change the look of your shoes the way you prefer. Many people use a dust jacket of their book as a bookmarker. No problem with that, it will save your book from bent page corners. But the primary purpose of a dust cover is to keep the book safe from distortions. For instance, if you spill juice or drop some of the food on your book while reading it. The Tic Tac dispenser has this little groove on its top, so you can dispense only one Tic Tac at a time. Even though, let's be honest here, nobody does that. Most of us just spill a whole bunch at once, and then we wiggle all those extra Tic Tacs back in. Those rubber bumps you see between the tire treads are there for your safety. The raised edges tell you what the minimum height of your tread is. If the bump and the edges are even, it's time for you to visit the tire shop as soon as possible. But if the bumps are well beneath the level of the edges, you're good to go. What about that black grating on the microwave window? It's something called a Faraday shield, and it's there to prevent microwaves from getting away and turning the entire room into a Faraday cage. If the microwaves escape, your meal won't cook properly either. So yep, the cage is not there to make it difficult for you to see your meal while it's cooking. It's keeping the electromagnetic energy inside. How about a wrench-compatible screwdriver? Cover your screwdriver with the end of your wrench and you can increase its torque. That's why the head of your screwdriver is designed the way it is. When you have odd angles, you can use this strategy. You've probably heard those myths, the blue side of the eraser can erase the pen? False. Its purpose is to erase a pencil, but in case you're writing something on heavier paper. The blue side can remove smudges you see after using the pink eraser too. Have you ever wondered why oranges in supermarkets mostly come in the red mesh bag? It's a trick to make this food look more orange and encourage you to make a purchase. An extra tip, don't throw away the mesh bag. Tie it up so you can have a small pot scrubber to clean your sink, kitchen, appliances, and dishes. You can see golf balls don't have a perfectly round shape. Their surface is covered with many little dimples, something golf balls didn't always have. At one point, experienced golfers started noticing how, through time, older balls with imperfections, such as nicks and bumps, could travel further. Such things create turbulence in the air around the golf ball, which eventually reduces drag. So, manufacturers started producing balls with dimples so they could go farther and faster. You might have noticed that sometimes there are ridges in toothpick tops. It's more hygienic because when you break that off, you can prop the toothpick up on it, and it won't touch anything. Another safety feature you'll find, this time in your car, is a tab on your rearview mirror. With it, you can change the position of the mirror, so you don't get blinded if there's a car behind you with its high beams on. So this little tab helps you control the glare of lights coming from behind. This feature showed up in the 1930s, but in the early 1970s, it became a part of standard equipment in most trucks and cars.
Do you see that tiny hole on your iPhone right next to the rear-facing camera? It's a microphone, and it's there so your phone can record sound as you turn your camera around. Some cables have a thick cylinder towards the end of the cord. It's called a ferrite core or a choke. It's a magnetic iron oxide that stops high-frequency electromagnetic interference. For example, you know that annoying static noise you get if you bring your phone too close to a speaker? This interrupts your call, which is why cable cords with big cylinders are pretty useful because they prevent these things. Do you know why nearly all luggage bags and backpacks have 2 zippers? It's way more convenient and easier to open in that way. But not just that, you can also lock these 2 zippers together to keep the stuff inside your bags safer. You know how toilets at public spots like malls have those big gaps at the bottom? It's primarily for better circulation of air. This type of door also makes it easier to clean the toilet or check if it's occupied if you're standing in line. Other than that, if you get stuck there and the lock gets broken, you still have a way to escape. You can just crawl out. Ever notice those plastic end caps on utility knives? And they also have scales on them, which indicates you may use them multiple times but with sharp edges. You can separate the blades through these plastic end caps. Then, you can move the slider and bring the sharp blade to the front. If you've ever taken a moment to examine a regular grocery cart, especially their fold-out section, you probably noticed those metal loops jutting out. They're designed to protect the items you carry in your cart. You can use them to hang bags with soft items. You don't want to accidentally squish with heavier products, like bread, or easily breakable things like eggs. Many coffee mugs come with curved notches on their bottom. When you're washing your mugs, put them against the rack at an angle in your dishwasher. This way, the water won't pool in there, so your favorite cup will be completely dry by the time you take it out of the dishwasher. If you're a McFlurry fan, you've probably noticed there's a square hole in the handle of the spoon. It's there so you can attach it to the special machine that mixes the ice cream and your favorite toppings together. The machine has a bar that slips into this square-shaped spoon and then thoroughly stirs it. And you get the spoon so they can minimize the mess during the process. Quite neat, wouldn't you say? A regular milk jug has a dent on one side. Some might see it as a random design decision, but a dent has several purposes. One of them is to get bigger if there's a gas buildup. This happens when your milk is spoiled. So you don't even have to try to check this out. Also, the dent is there so the jug doesn't burst if you accidentally drop it. The dent allows the expansion space that deals with the sudden pressure that happens when you drop the jug. Dental floss. Sure, it's important for your dental health, and it's easy to assume what you do with it. But dental floss is great in the kitchen as well, because it's a very precise cake slicer, way better than a regular knife. Most kitchen shears have a serrated opening right there at the center where the blades and handles meet. It's something you can use to trim difficult herbs such as rosemary, thyme, or chives. Because of this opening, you don't need to pick the leaves off by hand, but de-stem them in one motion. The majority of gelatin containers or single-serving yogurts come with a tinfoil lid, and in most cases, you can use this covering as a disposable spoon. Just peel away the covering, and after a couple of simple folds, you'll have a perfect little spoon for your midday snack.
How many hidden features are there in your car that you have never heard of? Most cars these days have everything color-coded under their hoods. It makes it way easier to know what you need to supervise between services, like the dipstick, the oil cap, or the coolant. You can even have a look at the brake and washer fluid. Anything else that's black or gray, just leave it to the mechanics. Ever seen a snowflake light on the dashboard of your car? It's not there to let you know the winter holidays are coming if that's what you're thinking. It's actually a sensor that indicates the exterior ambient temperature. It gets activated and pops up the light whenever there's a road warning due to a sharp drop in temperature. It may sometimes even come on with an audio warning or a message on your dashboard to warn you that the roads may be getting icy, so you can either adapt the speed or change to the appropriate tires if necessary. Most cars come with added features for the summertime too, like those neat sun visors. Yours might have an added bonus you might want to check out. We all know they twist to help the driver out when the sun is not shining from the front. But some of them can also extend, so they can provide shade to a larger area. If you figure out your sun visor doesn't extend, there's a simple solution though. Buy a sun visor extender. You can even find them online. They work by being attached to your existing sun visors or windows for better shade coverage and visibility. Let's find some hidden features at home. It's not rocket science, but there is a wrong way to make ice in the freezer, and that's because you're probably not using the ice cube tray correctly. They come with that particular shape because you need to fill the trays until there's a layer of water on the top. This layer will help remove the cubes faster from the tray because it will crack when twisted and leave each cube poking out. You can then grab them in no time and enjoy your drink. If you find that the heat on your oven is too high or you need to cook some delicate dishes that require more control over the temperature, there's an easy way to adjust that. The knobs on your oven should come with calibration screws on their backs. Pop out the plastic knob and adjust it to your preferences. Be sure to disconnect the oven from any energy source before doing it. Do you know what your stove and your car have in common? They both have hoods that you can open if you need to have a peek, or if they need some cleaning. If you look closely at the top of your kitchen stove, you will see two hinges located on the back corners. You'll be able to easily lift it up and clean out all the grime that's been stuck in there. Ever wondered why glue doesn't stick to the inside of the bottle? The answer is a bit more complex, depending on the type of glue. But the simple response is, well, it doesn't have any air in there. PVA glue contains some molecules called polymers and water. When the glue is out, the water evaporates, leaving just the sticky polymers behind. Things are more or less the other way around with superglue. It has a chemical that solidifies as soon as it hits water vapors in the air. Did you know Microsoft Word has a feature that you can use for references and a bibliography? It's not only helpful for keeping track of everything, but it also automatically formats all the information accordingly. If you like to surround yourself with as many houseplants as possible, here's an easy way to figure out if they need watering. Stick your fingers into its soil. It should give you a better idea than simply looking at the plant's surface. If you can reach 2 to 3 inches into the soil and feel it's dry, the plant most likely needs some hydration. However, this trick does tend to work better with smaller potted plants because of the limited depth. In any case, it's always best to research the plant's needs in terms of watering and sunlight before committing to a plant. And always be careful not to damage its roots. Be honest, you indeed have clothes you wear all the time and some that just sit there in the back of your closet that you've most likely forgotten about. Here's a neat way to figure out which one is which. For starters, you'll need to turn all of your hangers backwards. If you really feel like putting more effort into this project, you can wrap some pieces of electrical tape on the hangers and write the start date on each. After that, everything is pretty self-explanatory. Each time you wear a particular item, turn the hanger around, making it face forward. After 6 months or a year, all those items that have yet to be turned around should go to donations or yard sales. Another great way to use hangers to help you with your wardrobe organization is to use them for your scarves. They will be wrinkle-free, but you can also see them a lot better and have a clear view of the scarves you actually use and those you should let go of. If you're looking to increase the storage space in your wardrobe, especially when the season changes, go pick yourself up some vacuum pack storage bags. After that, you just need to fold your garments or other pieces of laundry, like bedding or blankets for example, and place them in the bags. Turn on your vacuum cleaner, place the nozzle on the bag seal, and remove all the extra air from the bag. It helps with reducing the storage size of clothes and keeps the clothes clean, dry, and moth-free. Should you have an empty basket lying around and you aren't sure if you want to recycle it just yet, you can always repurpose it as a cool lamp. Wicker baskets work best for this. Just cut a small hole in the bottom of the basket and place a pendant light kit there. You can even paint it manually, or spray paint if you need it to be in a particular color. Another way to neatly repurpose things around the house is to use leftover cookie jars to store dryer balls, but the sky's the limit here. You can also use dryer sheets to remove dust from screens around your house, like computers, laptops, or TVs. These items are electrically charged, so they generally attract a lot of dust particles. Dryer sheets are made to reduce static cling, so they won't only remove the dust but also help keep it at bay for a longer period of time. Dryer sheets also help out if you're having a bad hair day, believe it or not. They can seriously help out taming flyaways whenever your frizz just gets out of control. Run one of those dryer sheets from the roots of your hair all the way down to the tip, and be amazed. If there's a particular type of soap bar you like the smell of and want to replicate that on your clothes too, pick up one of those bars to make a day's clothes fresher. Place it in a fabric and place it anywhere between your clothes. Your shirts should smell awesome every time you pick them up. You can also save on fabric softener. I don't know about your washing machine, but mine does love to jump, I'll tell you that. If yours tends to run out of its designated place, especially during those intense spinning cycles, it happens because it's not perfectly fixed to the floor. The good thing is that most modern washing machines can self-level since they come with a pair of legs. Just lift the back of the device off the surface area it sits on, and it will drop them, locking them into place once it's perfectly level.